the 97th time, Hawkeyes fans gather in Iowa City to celebrate homecoming. It's a Big Ten lid lifter as the Hawkeyes take on unbeaten Northwestern. You will see it right now. University of Iowa campus, it's Big Ten football time. Northwestern comes to town 4-0 for the first time in 46 years. Iowa is 3-1. Hello, everybody. Along with Sean King, I'm Dave Lamont. The Iowa quarterback controversy has ended. Ricky Stanzi has the job over Jay Christensen, but I don't care if Brad Banks or Chuck Long comes back. You're getting the ball to one guy if you're Iowa.
Sean Green, 5'11", 235 pounds of dynamite. Missed last year due to academic suspension, but he's come back motivated and ready to make amends. An unbelievable 6.5 yards per carry, 126 yards a game, which ranks him 8th in the NCAA. Really put this offense on his back. On the other side of the ball, the Northwestern Wildcats are led by head coach Pat Fitzgerald. Anytime your head coach is a former All-American linebacker, you have to be good on defense. This defense not only been good, they've been great. They added defensive coordinator Mike Hankwitz. He's brought a more aggressive style. Through the first 4 games, 36 tackles for losses and 15 sacks. Today, the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Something has to give, Dave.
And there's Pat Fitzgerald in his 3rd season as Northwestern head coach. The first Big Ten win he ever had was in 2006 when he took over following the passing of Randy Walker, and it was here at Kinnick Stadium. 4-0. And Kirk Ferentz, of course, he's been around here quite a while in this program. And neither of these teams, and Sean, they were both eligible last year. They both finished 6-6, and both of them, both the coaches telling us they carried kind of that sour taste in their mouths all the way through spring practice.
Extremely disappointed and definitely ready to go out and make amends on the field this year and make sure that they don't put themselves in a position where they can be denied a bowl game.
Iowa to receive, Jewel Hampton and Amari Spivey back deep. On a 72-degree, mostly sunny day, very little breeze, so just ideal conditions here in Iowa City. And this will be Jewel Hampton. And a little bit of a hole, and boy, it closed quickly at around the 25-yard line, so we'll take a look at the Iowa starters. And making his 3rd start of the season is Ricky Stanzi, and the sophomore from Mentor, Ohio, finally has the job after battling throughout the first 4 games with Jay Christensen.
It's very tough to have a dual quarterback system when you're the quarterback, because you always feel that if you make a mistake, you could be taken from the game. But today, the coaching staff says that they're going to stick with Ricky Stanzi and allow him the opportunity to go out and be their quarterback.
Sean Green is the top running back we told you about, and he is at the top of that formation right there. Play action, plenty of time, and open to the 39-yard line. A catch made by Andy Brodell, the split end. 15-yard pickup there as we take a look at the offensive line. You always think of offensive lines with Iowa. I guess you can't help it. And this is a group that's rapidly improving. Rob Brueggemann is the captain of that bunch, the senior from Cedar Rapids. Not far at all from Iowa City. You mentioned Sean Green. Also keep an eye out for Andy Brodell and Daryl Johnson-Guilianos, player with big play capability. First look at Green, a hole popped up big time. Green's going to get a first down in the Northwestern territory. Great blocking by the Iowa front line.
And you spoke about the great Iowa offensive line right there. They did an outstanding job of getting movement against that Northwestern front four. You know, one of the things that Northwestern defensive coordinator Mike Hankwitz talks about is winning the 6-inch war. And on the first run of the game, they definitely were defeated in that battle.
21-yard pickup for Green. Number 2 runner in the Big Ten. Look at that yards per carry. Now, let's admit, Iowa played Maine and they played Florida International to start, so they didn't play maybe the top competition, but that's still very impressive.
Yeah, and I've always learned you just have to beat who's on your schedule.
And that Northwestern has done as Green continues to fight. Picked up a couple of yards that time before Prince Quatang was in on the stop, the captain of the Northwestern defense. Watch out particularly in the Northwestern front for John Gill, who blocked a field goal last week in the win over Ohio. He's on the early Outland and Nagurski watch list. Prince Quatang made that tackle. Malcolm Arrington had a great game with 11 stops against Ohio last week for Northwestern. And in the secondary, you got a couple of ex-quarterbacks. Look at those numbers for Brendan Smith and Brad Phillips. They used to avoid punishment in high school. Now they dole it out in college. 2nd and long for the Hawkeyes, the first drive of the game. Green again, and got nowhere as Corey Wooten came up from his defensive end position to stop that. for no gain.
And it'll be interesting as the game progresses today. One of the things that Northwestern seems to be doing defensively is putting a lot of guys at the line of scrimmage. And if Sean Green can find a way to get past this first line of defense, there's a big gap between the front seven of Northwestern and those safeties.
Well, we saw that on the first carry when he popped for 21 yards. He's only picked up 2 on the ensuing couple of carries. So now the first time we look at 3rd and long for Iowa. Myers, the tight end, in motion. Blitz on the corner. That left that spot of the field open, but this will not be a first down. A little bit short. Brendan Smith on the stop. That's Trey Strauss, the junior from Avon Lake, Ohio. Got 5 on the play. Now you could try a long field goal with a freshman kicker whose long is 39 yards, or you could do what they're going to do here, Sean, and go for it.
Which I like this call because this is a part of the field, Dave, where if you don't pick up the 4th down, you don't do a lot of damage defensively when your defense comes on the field. It's still not great field position for Northwestern.
See what Iowa has done so far in 4th downs this year. Both these teams have been very stingy defensively. Northwestern only permitting 1 out of 3 4th down conversions in the first 4 games this season. Flat was open, goes the other way, and this will be a first down. The big tight end, Brandon Myers, 6'4", 250, rumbling for another Hawkeye first down. Gain of 11.
And I like the creativity early in the ball game. You know, traditionally that's a play that you run in a goal line offense, but you view 4th and 3 as a goal line situation. Nice play call by Coach Kirk Ferentz and offensive coordinator Ken O'Keefe. I like the fact that they're showing confidence in Ricky Stanzi early in this game, allowing him to throw the football.
And they showed some confidence by picking him early in the week as the starter after a battle with Jay Christensen, and they prove it again on the field. He's 3 out of 3 for 31 yards, but the ball's on the ground, and it's Northwestern's. So that huge lift from that 4th down conversion, and it's gone. Looks like John Gill winds up with the football. That'll be his 2nd fumble recovery already this season.
And Dave, one of the most frustrating things in football is having to break in a young quarterback because he does something outstanding like on the 4th down, but then they come back and they do little things, make little mistakes that just go to a lack of experience. And just, you know, it really frustrates you as your coach. But if you're going to play a young quarterback, these are some of the things that you have to be willing to accept.
We go from the inexperience of Stanzi to the senior, C.J. Bachér, the quarterback for Northwestern, and in big trouble early, and throws it away. See Baché's numbers on the year. He had a rough outing last weekend against Ohio, threw 4 interceptions. Senior from Sacramento, California, but he is firmly the quarterback for Pat Fitzgerald's team.
You know, and he's a senior, David. When you have a senior at that position, your expectation level for him after a bad game is a lot higher. It's a lot different. You expect him to be able to bounce back and get back to the way that he's capable of playing because he's been through bad games before.
On the ground, and here is Tyrell Sutton. And we talked quite a bit about Sean Green, Sean, but we haven't yet talked about this young man, but this is one of the most productive backs in the Big Ten as he gains 4.
And, you know, we talked about Sean averaging 6.5 yards a carry. Well, Tyrell Sutton is averaging 6.1. You know, he's another outstanding running back. You know, Todd Bachér actually said that he was one of the top pass-catching running backs in the entire country.
And you see him split out as they go empty in this spread attack that Northwestern favors, and a flag is down.
Timeout, Iowa. Their first charge timeout.
All right, the flag, I guess, was just to get the attention, but Kirk Ferentz called that timeout, so there was something he didn't like about that Northwestern offensive set that was empty backfield. What did they see? All find out together. The Northwestern facing a 3rd and 6. We believe Iowa had 12 men on the field. That's why Kirk Ferentz burned the Hawkeyes' first time out. With Sean King, I'm Dave Lamont. You see your score in time here. Iowa had a nice drive going and gave up the football. This is Northwestern's first possession and their first 3rd down. And a man open. It's going to be a first down and a lot more for Sutton. We talked about the pass receiving ability. It wasn't smooth, Sean, but man, was he open.
Well, he's definitely a player offensively who you have to account for as a defense because on 3rd down, he's such an integral part of their passing attack that you have to locate him. And, you know, I asked yesterday when I was talking to defensive coordinator Norm Parker, where they're going to place a spy on him. And this is why. If you allow him to get in the open field, he's a dynamic with the ball after he catches it.
Underneath this time, and it's him again, Sutton, and another first down for the Wildcats. Well, we talked about his pass-catching ability. There you got a good example of it. That was not really a perfect throw, but he made a nice little catch by the shoulder.
And he's what you call quarterback friendly. He's a guy when he runs routes, he's friendly with his route running. He gives you his numbers. He gives you somewhere to throw the football.
And Bachér, I'm not sure as the flags go down. Now, the umpire was involved in that, trying to get it to Rashid Ward, who was pretty well covered by a Hawkeye and by the umpire.
Pass interference, 42 defense. Spot foul with an automatic first down.
That's our referee, Todd Gearlings. All right, Sean, is this a good call?
And you see the crossing route, and Jeremiah Hunter is breaking on the ball, and he makes contact a little early, but if you're Rashid Ward, that's when you go back to the sideline and tell your offensive coordinator, I'm being double covered.
Yeah, well, not intentionally. And they go on the ground with Omar Conte, who got a little bit of extra playing time last week when Sutton did not finish the Ohio game with a leg injury. Picked up a couple of yards there. Northwestern's offensive line, a mixture of seniors and freshmen. Ben Burkett is the freshman center, number 65 for this team. And of course, we talked quite a bit about Sutton. Also, keep an eye out for Eric Peterman, a solid wide receiver, a former quarterback. What a surprise. There's a ton of them all over this Wildcat roster.
Well, that speaks to the athleticism of both teams. In high school, you put your best player at quarterback.
What are you trying to say, Sean?
I'm saying
That's going to be complete. Well covered. Conte was there, and Pat Angerer made the stop. Middle linebacker for Iowa. Gain of 6, though. We take a look at the Iowa defensive line. Those 2 tackles in the middle, the stars of this team. Mitch King, an outspoken one. Matt Krul, his roommate, quieter guy. Talked about Pat Angerer at the linebacker position. Man in the middle there. Jeremiah Hunter is their top tackler for the Hawkeyes so far. And in the secondary, you've got a good group led by Harold Dalton, the senior strong safety. 3rd down and short. And it is intercepted. Taken by Hunter. And Jeremiah Hunter, who was called for the pass interference penalty, more than makes up for it there. That is a 20-yard return off the deflection.
And this was a good job of the cornerback understanding the tendencies of this Northwestern offense. He knows that they like to run slants on 3rd and short, and he's right there, Bradley Fletcher, to deflect this ball, and Jeremiah Hunter is the right man, Johnny, on the spot. You like to see this from your defense. When you have all the guys on defense running to the football, Dave, these are the type of plays that happen.
Well, and for C.J. Bachér, the quarterback for Northwestern, now, he has not thrown a touchdown pass since the Syracuse game at the beginning of the month. Just 3 games ago. Iowa changes pace with Green going down the sideline, and he's out of bounds. They're going to mark him out at around the 43-yard line for Northwestern. And Sherrick McManus saved a touchdown after a 20-yard gain.
And I think this is something that we're going to see all day today, Dave. I think either Sean Green is going to lose yards on runs or he's going to be in the secondary because they have everybody within about 3-4 yards of the line of scrimmage at front 7 of Northwestern.
They mark it down to the 42-yard line. Green with 44 yards on 4 rushes. He's had 2 big ones and 2 little ones. This will be a big run for Green. Lowers his shoulder and just keeps it going inside the 20. Malcolm Arrington, the top tackler for the Wildcats, finally got him down, but what I liked about that, Sean, is that he gave out a little punishment in addition to taking some.
And he's a good size back. He's 5'11". He's 235 pounds, so he's bringing some power when you have to try and tackle him in this secondary. But right now, the front 5 of the Iowa Hawkeyes are doing an outstanding job of getting a hat on a hat and giving their running back an opportunity to get to the second level of this Northwestern defense.
Now you see the numbers on Green already. That 6.5-yard average is going to go way up. Little blitz from the top from Northwestern. Green pops through, and this is something you talked about, that he has that ability to pop through, and he did there.
He has a great combination, Dave, of size and speed and quickness. And it's unique for a back to have both. Generally, backs are power runners or they're real scat back, elusive, cat quick guys. He has a combination of both, and it's been real effective this year for the Iowa offense. And the thing that this does is this now opens up the deep passing game for Ricky Stanzi off the play action. If they can continue to have this kind of success running the football.
Here's a guy who a year ago was moving furniture while on academic suspension from the university. Now he's moving chains. Well, this time, however, maybe a yard, maybe two. Corey Wooten among many Northwestern tacklers, and that time Pat Fitzgerald's defense was all over Sean Green, but he does get it inside the 15-yard line. And Green down to about 235 pounds. Coaches say that's about where they want him. He was at 250 when he came back to school, and really wasn't even allowed to re-enroll until August.
Yeah, and they want him to continue to improve his conditioning. Anytime you miss a year, you might stay in shape, but you're not in football shape. So they're working with him to continue improving his conditioning, but it doesn't look like anything's wrong with him so far.
73 yards and 7 carries. 3rd and 4. And look at that extra effort, but Malcolm Arrington took care of him that time. He's going to lose a little bit, and Green a little slow getting up. He's got to be somewhat fatigued after that series, but off the interception, Iowa has moved into field goal range. And how about the hit here by Arrington?
And this is one of the other things, though, when you are a power runner to some extent, you do take a lot of contact. You get hit a lot, but we'll see if that has a toll on him eventually, especially considering that he missed last year. That'll be the interesting point, is can he continue this pace throughout the season?
Let's also credit Brad Phillips for helping out with that hit, too. As here's the freshman from Mooresville, Indiana, Trent Mossbooker. And he tacks on a 30-yard field goal. So Northwestern pays for its interception with 3 points for Iowa. Here the 97th homecoming in Iowa City. The home team in front of the Big Ten opener for both teams. Straight sellout here at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa. There's your score at time. A 6-play, 50-yard drive, and it was the Sean Green program on that drive. A couple of powerful runs. Then Northwestern, to their credit, the classic cliche in football, Sean, bend and don't break. And that's exactly what happened with Northwestern as they came back with some big hits on Green.
And if you're defensive coordinator Mike Hankers, you're satisfied, with that drive. You give up some big runs, but ultimately your defense holds and doesn't allow a touchdown. Only gives up a field goal, which keeps your team in the ball game.
This will be Jermaine Matthews, and you better find that guy. And coverage overran him. And I tell you what, if Matthews had cut toward the sideline, he might have had a big opportunity there to break that, because 2 Iowa players just flew by him. He gets a 26-yard return out of what was nearly a disaster for the Wildcats. Well, talking about Northwestern's defense, and that's been their story in the first 4 games. It's gotten them off to this good start. And they've done a great job in tackles for losses. They've got 15 sacks already. I mean, it's been a team that's lived off its defense early.
And it has, but they're facing an elite top-flight running back today, so this will be an extreme challenge for this defense.
Northwestern has one of those too, and Sutton. And Iowa's defense bends a little bit. Gain of 5 for Tyrell Sutton, a senior from Akron. And it's like Cruel and King in there, and that's, you could almost say that on any kind of running play with Iowa's defense. It's 2 very talented tackles.
And when we spoke to Iowa defensive coordinator Norm Parker yesterday, he said the key for his defense today was getting Tyrell Sutton on the ground. He understands how important the running back is to this Northwestern offense.
He'll get another chance at it, and he'll get it across the 35, about the 36. Cruel grabbed him high, and that's going to be about a 3-yard gain. Going to bring up 3rd down and 2 for the Wildcats. Christian Ballard also was defensive end spot, got him down low. 41% 3rd down conversions coming into this game for Northwestern. They're 1 out of 2 so far.
The last 3rd down they had, 3rd and short. They went with the slant route to the outside receiver, resulting in an interception. So it'll be interesting to see what the strategy is offensively on this 3rd and short.
Peterman in motion. Headed in that direction, and it will be a 1st down. Just outside of the 40-yard line. just enough, and that's where she make that Ross Lane, making a 17th straight start. Senior from Southwest Florida, Fort Myers, coming all the way to Evanston.
Down at Bishop Verrat High School. And I like this play call. You're actually flooding this right zone of the defense, giving your quarterback 3 options in one zone of the field. Good job by C.J. Bachér of recognizing who was open and giving him the football.
He's got a man open here. It's Lane once again, and he will get a little short of the first down by a yard as A.J. Eads among the stop tacklers, pardon me, for the Hawkeyes, along with Amari Spivey. And you see Ross Lane.
And all 4 of their receivers have contributed this season in different ways.
And it'll be another first down for the Wildcats with Sutton. Anger in on the stop.
You know, the one thing that you see from the Northwestern offense earlier is they don't really have a go-to guy, but they utilize all of their pieces in this offense. You know, CJ does a good job of spreading the football around to who's ever open.
Well, you don't really think of this offense, even though it's a spread attack, as a big play, vertical style attack.
It does not, and it seems as though their passing game is almost just running game part B.
Yeah.
They use the passing game almost as a secondary running attack.
There's nothing wrong with that play call there. If you can give it to Tyrell Sutton, but Iowa's defense was prepared, held him to a couple of yards that time. And again, Pat Anger, the middle linebacker from Bettendorf, Iowa, junior, came in with 19 tackles and a couple of interceptions. And we talk about Iowa's defense. They put together 10 sacks already on the year. And they didn't give up a touchdown in the early going until they finally went to Pittsburgh last week. And this could be sack number 11 as Bachér got it. Now, Sutton was in the vicinity, and I don't think this is going to draw a flag. There are a lot of officials wearing black and gold who would disagree with that.
Well, he was also outside of the pocket, you know, when he released this football. So you're allowed, when you're outside of the pocket, to just get rid of the football. You see, he's outside that tackle box right there. You know, the one thing that CJ seems to be doing, though, is he's locking on to Tyrell Sutton, I think, a little too early. I think you still have to give your downfield options an opportunity to get themselves open and use Tyrell as a secondary check-down receiver.
Behind the receiver, incomplete. Omar Conte couldn't catch up to that one. It'll be 4th down and long. We got our first look at Stephen Demos. Demos, the sophomore punter from Scottsdale, Arizona. 37.5-yard average. Has put 10 punts already inside the 20-yard line. Andy Brodell, who's busted an 81-yarder earlier for the Hawkeyes, back deep. And so Iowa will have their worst field position so far following a 35-yard punt. The Hawkeyes have the football and the advantage. And Sean Green has had a big day already in just the first quarter. And no, that is not the Field of Dreams in Dyersville, but you're not that far away from the famed movie set. We are in Iowa City, though, at famed Kinnick Stadium. There's your score and time. Jewel Hampton in the tailback spot for Iowa right now. But Stanzi's got the entire left side of the field open, and he'll get a lot of yards here before he is shoved out of bounds by Brendan Smith. And that was so funny, Sean. You could hear the crowd react to the open field, almost as if they were trying to tell Stanzi, run!
And what I really like right there, and this is one of the things you're never sure about with your young quarterback, when you call a big play down the field, when it's covered, his ability to not force the football. And this is an outstanding job of recognizing that no one was open down the field, so I'm not going to force it and create a turnover. I'm going to take what the defense gives me, get a first down for my offense, and hopefully next time we call it, the guy will be open.
Add 20 yards of those totals right there for Stanzi. Now we take a look at the freshman Hampton out of Indianapolis. Coach is very high on him. He got maybe a foot there as Northwestern shoves him down with Quentin Davey, a sophomore strong side linebacker. But we expected to see Hampton play. It looks like Paki O'Meara will not play as the reserve for Sean Green today. So Jewel Hampton going to get a chance.
And it was excellent defense on that first play, Dave, by that Northwestern secondary. You know, when the guys had as much success as Sean Green has running the football, and you come out the first play of a drive in play action, a stretch play action play to them, generally that defense is going to react. But they did a good job of staying back and not giving up the big pass play.
And didn't give up much on that last run either.
But you'd expect that from Northwestern guys. They're smart, right?
Oh, yeah, they have to be. Going to loft this one up. Receiver, I thought, fell down. This pass is intercepted, but it's going to be interference. McManus with the football, and he's got a chance actually to do something big with this return. He's out of bounds at the 35. Now, Brandon Myers was the intended receiver. From up here, and of course we're a long way away, I just thought he fell down.
It looked like there was some initial contact. I'm not sure how long the defensive back sustained the contact, but we'll see.
Personal foul, face mask, 24 of the defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic, first down.
Remember, there is no more 5-yard little incidental face mask. That penalty is gone. So this must have been serious enough to draw a flag. Obviously it was, and that's what caused the receiver to fall in the first place. So what appeared just to be an awkward trip, and Pat Fitzgerald is in complete disagreement with that call, understandably. Scratch the interception, move the football to the Iowa 45-yard line. Send Green out for a pass pattern, but it's going to be dumped off right around midfield. Catch made by Colin Sandeman for 5. Sophomore from, again, Bettendorf, Iowa. Davey and McManus in on the stop for Northwestern in the final minute of this first quarter.
And I like what I've seen from Ricky Stanzi, the Iowa quarterback so far. You take away the fumble snap, and he's been very efficient with the football.
4 out of 4 for 36 yards so far. Yeah, I think he's made some good decisions, too. You're right. He had a physical error on the fumble. He didn't get the ball cleanly from the center, but I think his decision-making has been very, very sharp so far. And Hampton will get close to the first down. He'll have it. Boy, I tell you what, both he and Green, Sean, are very hard to bring down on first contact.
Very physical runners, and the runners, it seemed that they should get better as the game goes on. They're the type of runners that are going to wear a defense down, and these 5- and 6-yard runs could potentially become 12- and 14-yard runs as this game wears on.
That may well be the last play of the first quarter. If it is, you may see Sean Green come back in, and he will be well rested. Iowa already in this quarter with 99 yards rushing on 12 attempts. Stanzi turned into trouble, but he got out. Wide open at the 32-yard line, and an Iowa first down to Andy Brodell. Gain of 13, and for the Hawkeyes, a great way to end the first quarter. They have the football, they have the momentum, and they have a homecoming crowd behind them. At the end of one, it's the Hawkeyes 3 and the Wildcats nothing. The Big Ten opener for both, and they're fired up at Niall Kinnick. There's your score and time. Second quarter underway. Iowa in the middle of a drive. They're coming up to 6th play. They've already gone 53 yards. The drive started at their own 10. Your local listings for the game in your area. And as always, more information, log on to ESPN.com. Play 6 of the drive. Stanzi underneath, but this is well read by Northwestern. Going to be a loss of 3 or 4 as the safety Brad Phillips jumped all over Tony Moiaki. Well, what about this Big Ten and Penn State? Because, you know, everyone talks about Ohio State. They had their little bad moment in L.A., but a lot of people think Penn State might be the team.
I do. I'm definitely one of those people. When I watch Ohio State play, they have good football players, but they don't have great athletes across the board. Penn State, for the first time, you know, in a long time, Coach Joe Paterno not only has good football players, but he has tremendously gifted athletes. And I think that's the difference when they play the teams like LSU and Florida who have athletes just across the board.
And another receiver down and another flag at the 16-yard line, trying to get Moiaki again. And he may have been knocked down. This is Pat Fitzgerald and his coaching staff going to argue this one and not going to win the argument.
Holding, defense, number 4, 10-yard penalty from previous spot with an automatic first down.
And I think Pat Fitzgerald, as we look at the replay, he has more of a problem with how late the flag was thrown, I think, than anything. If you watch, you know, the flag is not thrown until the ball almost hits the ground, and it looks more as though it was a trip more so than a hold.
And they flagged the wrong guy. It was actually Quentin Davey, 41, not Brendan Smith, number 4, who was doing a little bit of grabbing. You saw it on the replay. It wasn't bad, but there was contact. That's Green back into the game, and I tell you, he's taking some hits, but he's doling them out. He will not go down easily. Gets it to the 19-yard line, gain of 4. Malcolm Arrington and he have already had a couple of violent collisions already.
You know, Sean Green's a very powerful running back. He has great pad level, and by that, when he gets to contact, he initiates the contact. He lowers his pads, he keeps his legs churning, and that's difficult for a defender when you have a running back who not only has quickness and agility, but has power and runs the correct way.
78 yards already for Green, who's had 100+ in every game so far this season. This pops open. He could go. Sean Green walks into the end zone. Great blocking.
Outstanding job by this front 5 of the Iowa Hawkeyes. And the tight ends also. They're a good part of this running game. They've done a good job of getting a hat in the hat and continuing to push those Northwestern front 7 defenders down the field. If you see, every Northwestern defender has a blocker on them. Sean Green is getting to the 3rd level before he's meeting a Northwestern defender that's not engaged with the blocker.
And how about the wide receiver, Daryl Johnson-Culianos, hasn't caught a pass yet, and he's a flashy player, but he went gut bucket on that block, and Green used that to get into the end zone.
He's admirably referred to on campus as DJK.
Well, give him a Hawkeye for that block, because that enabled Green, along with a great block by Brian Bulaga, the left tackle, to walk into the end zone. That was a 90-yard drive by the Hawkeyes, and here in their 97th homecoming, the Hawkeyes have firm command of the Big Ten opener. We'll see how the Wildcats respond. Coming at least a quarter of the way through it in Iowa City. Sean Green with an 18-yard touchdown run, and Sean King, 25 out of those 90 yards on penalties against Northwestern.
A couple big penalties on the defensive backs of Northwestern created first downs for the Iowa offense. They were able to capitalize on it.
And this kick is out of bounds. And so great field position for Northwestern to start for the senior quarterback, C.J. Bachér. What do you think of him so far?
Yeah, I think C.J. Bachér has been a little off. He's been inaccurate at times trying to hit his backs. I think the one thing that he has to do is settle down, and he's the leader of this offense because he's a senior. He's been around, he's played before, and he has to understand that this is a big drive for this team. They need to come down, give their defense a break. They need to have a sustained drive here and go and get points. And I think they have people open down the field, and he just has to take his time and make accurate throws and get them the football.
What about going with Sutton here a few times, as Iowa has been going to Green? Why not go onto the back of Tyrell Sutton?
Well, I think they've attempted to. I think they've had some success. When they've moved the ball up and down the field, you know, they had the turnover, you know, but Iowa has really commanded the time of possession. You know, they've controlled the clock because Northwestern been unable to stop Iowa running back Sean Green up to this point in the football game.
Sutton has 58 total yards, 5 for 17 on the ground, 2 catches for 41. He is an outstanding receiver. And a pretty good running back, as you see right there with the hip shake and move. He'll pick up almost about 6 yards on the play for Northwestern. For Matt Krul in his 42nd straight start for the Hawkeyes in on the stop, senior from Mount Vernon, Iowa. Got to think that those 2 tackles, Krul and King, have a Sunday future.
Well, they're definitely the heart and soul of this Iowa defense. They're the guys that bring the energy level. They bring the effort level. They're the guys that lead by example every day in practice. And, you know, every National Football League team can use a talented defensive lineman who works hard and who plays the game the right way.
3rd down and a full 3 yards for Northwestern. Adrian Claiborne, the defensive end, on that stop. Northwestern's hit half of their 3rd downs in 4 tries.
And this is a big 3rd down, Dave. That defense has been on the field a lot. You know, if for anything else, they need to get a 1st down, at least give their defense another set of downs to catch a breath and get their level of emotion back up.
Sutton was covered underneath. And this is thrown away, a miscommunication. The receiver came back, and Bachér threw way over everybody's head. And Sidney Stewart was the receiver who tried to come back to Bachér to get the first down. And Northwestern will have to punt despite getting sterling field position following the poor kickoff.
And I just think that's a bad decision by quarterback C.J. Bachér. You know, he has Stewart wide open in the flat. You know, he's not patient enough to allow the route to develop. There was not pressure, so it wasn't a need to throw the football away, especially on third down.
Little directional kicking here. This is a low one. And Sandeman will take it. And he runs into immediate trouble as Northwestern covers the kick very well that time with Eric Peterman on the stop. 29-yard punt, 2-yard return, and the Hawkeyes will bring out an offense that has been clicking so far, trying to add to their lead. On Green, 96 yards and a touchdown already for Iowa, and they have command over Northwestern.
Dave, he's been outstanding. When you have a back that's as big as he is, 235, you don't generally find the kind of shiftiness. If you see, he has the ability to make the man miss in the open field. But the way his offensive line is blocking, sometimes you don't have to make anybody miss. You just run to daylight.
Yeah, you see Green so far. Absolute dominance. He came in with 6.5-yard average. You figured that's got to go down eventually. Not today, at least not now. This is a huge series for the Wildcats defense. And there's an unbelievable interception. Can't even imagine that Vince Brown got that gift, and he did. The freshman from Lisbon, Ohio. Co-Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week, by the way, Sean. And he almost didn't know what to do with that because it was such a shock.
He's been all over the field. He's not even a starter, but up to this point, he has 5 tackles for losses, 3 sacks, a forced fumble, and now you can add interception to that package. One of the things that defensive coordinator Mike Hankwitz said was their zone blitz package has created and generated a lot of turnovers for this defense, and you saw that evident right there.
I must ask, because you played the position, how did the quarterback not see him?
Well, he saw him, but he threw it anyway.
All right. And on the slant, Northwestern picks up about 8. Bachér with a sharp pass to Rashid Ward, senior from Chicago. That's not at all far from Evanston.
And to go back to a point I made earlier, it's just something about young quarterbacks. I was a young quarterback once. Every time we do something that gets you excited, we do something that frustrates you. You know, Ricky Stanzi's played awesome up to that point, and then he does something that just makes Coach Ferentz wants to pull his hair out.
Both his and Stanzi's, I suspect. That's very close to the marker, Sutton. Gained a couple.
And up to this game, they have platoon quarterbacks. They've played Jake Christensen, the veteran quarterback that they have. And this is one of the reasons that Jake has played. Not because he's more talented than Stanzi, because obviously Ricky's the more talented of the two, but because you hope that Jake doesn't put your defense in those kind of situations, doesn't throw that interception. But when you have a young guy that's talented, one of the things you have to do is just be willing to live through him making these kind of mistakes.
First down for Northwestern. 3 turnovers in this game already. 4th interception for the Northwestern defense this year. And heavy coverage that time by Pat Angerer. Just no chance for that play to be completed. Now, if we were in Evanston, Sean, I would imagine the crowd there would be yelping for interference.
And he may have gotten there a little early, but the thing that would concern me more is that quarterback C.J. Bachér, he's looking for the running back immediately. He's not looking down the field and giving his receivers an opportunity to get the football.
Well, this time it's Conte, and he runs into a lot of black and gold and a loss back to the 20-yard line. We'll set up 3rd down and 11.
And in the passing game, Dave, when you call down the field routes, you always have a secondary option, which is generally your running back. But you want to give your primary option, the receivers, an opportunity. You have to look down the field and make sure that they are covered before you come down to that running back.
2 out of 5 on 3rd down. Has a man open and missed him. Looked like he had Ross Lane open, and it would have been a 1st down, and Bachér threw a little bit behind him, so Northwestern will trot out maybe the hottest kicker in the country in Amado Birabillal. He's 8 for 8 on the year. Big Ten Special Teams Player of the Week. He had 3 field goals last week. This one from 37. He hasn't missed a kick yet. 19 for 19 counting PATs. Blocked! And Iowa survives a serious mistake by the offense, and Christian Ballard got that kick.
And I can see that one coming anytime the television announcers
Hey, I didn't do
make
it.
note that the guy has not missed a field goal. You can guarantee.
You know, that's funny thing, when we talked to Pat Fitzgerald, that's exactly what he was afraid of. Yeah, Ballard in the middle there, Sean, for sure.
And they got penetration. And you'd like the ball to be a little higher, but you'd also like to not give up that kind of penetration on your field goal unit.
So even when it goes wrong for Iowa, it goes right. And Northwestern floundering on offense at the moment. Yeah, so when that happens, your defense, led by John Gill's got to come back and make things happen, and that's going to be a loss almost back to the 30-yard line for Iowa. Gill, senior from Los Altos Hills, California. I mentioned the NFL prospects of King and Cruel. I got to think the league is looking at this guy, too. He's an Outland and Nagurski early watch list guy.
Well, he's been an outstanding run stuffer in the middle of that defense. And so many NFL defense, they need a guy in the middle who's maybe not flashy, maybe not a sack guy, but a guy who takes up blockers, who allows those outstanding athletes at linebacker to roam free and make quick plays.
Enzi wide open. Nice play action fake and just missed his receiver. Trying to get it to Brandon Myers, but that was good ball handling because he was more of the running type quarterback. He could have easily taken off and picked up a few.
And it was a good job of the strong safety, Brendan Smith of Northwestern, getting into the passing lane, not giving Ricky Stanzi an easy throw.
So Northwestern has an excellent defense all season long. 15 sacks already this year. They only had 18 all of last year, and they forced Iowa into a 3rd and long. Almost got a 16 sack, but they go to Green on the screen, and Iowa read it well. Arrington got him up top. John Gill was there again. Northwestern read it well, rather. And it's going to be an Iowa punt after a gain of 5. So 2 series in a row. The Northwestern defense is more than carrying their weight.
And I like that play call by the Iowa coaching staff. Something simple, something not dangerous. You get the ball to your best player. If he breaks a tackle, you get a first down. If not, you punt the ball and allow your defense, who's pitched a shutout so far, to go back on the field and continue what they've been doing.
Brendan Smith calls the fair catch and makes it with an Iowa defender right in his grill. 38-yard punt, and Northwestern will take over at the 26-yard line. Go to ESPN.com. On the ground they go to Sutton. While Sean Green's been able to get off and get a lot of yards, close to 100, Sutton hasn't had quite that opportunity yet.
But he's been effective when he's had the football. The thing that's hurt Terrell Sutton so far is Northwestern hasn't been able to pick up first down, so they haven't been able to sustain any drives to give him any kind of, carries. 1 carry, 2 carry, and then they're off the field.
Only 6 first downs so far. It might be 7 now. Nice job by Ross Lane, right around where the marker was dropped. And let's see where the official decides to put him down. Now he's going to be short by a yard. Amari Spivey on stop for Iowa. So here's 3rd and 1. I would think, and the whole stadium should expect Tyrell Sutton to get the football. I know what I would do if I was calling plays, if I were Mick McCall. 2 tight end or 2 superbacks, they call them here. The 2 superback formation. Nothing subtle about it. Why bother? It's a 3-yard gain and it's a first down for the Wildcats. And we talked earlier about giving that defense a rest, and I'm sure that they might be the happiest players on the sideline right now.
And that was a big first down. You know, a lot of teams are going to this spread offense, and what the spread does is it gives you an opportunity to get your best players the ball in space. But when you aren't having success in the spread offense because you don't huddle, because everything's at the line of scrimmage, it can put a lot of pressure and strain on that defense by making them play a large number of plays.
To the sideline, the 45-yard line, catch made by Rasheed Ward as Bachér on the stop after a 7-yard pickup. Northwestern had one good drive in the first quarter, and it was lost to a turnover. Haven't done much since. That'll be a first down, and that's Ross Lane. So an 8 and then a 9 for Northwestern. Another gain of 7 and a first down into Iowa territory.
And Dave, one of the things that they did right there is they changed the tempo of their spread offense. They have different tempos that they can run. One's a normal tempo, one's a tempo where they hold, where they fake like they're going to do a snap count and look to the sideline. Another tempo is a super fast tempo where they just have a core number of plays that they run. And right now it seems as though they're in the faster of those three tempos.
And Sutton coming across and running into a crowd, but he still got 3 out of that. Jeremiah Hunter down low, and A.J. Eads up high. And also Ballard in there, Christian Ballard, who blocked the field goal attempt earlier. Second down and about 7 coming up for Northwestern. Missed his man, overthrew Eric Peterman. Bring up third down and 7. Well, Big Ten day. Only Purdue is playing outside the conference today. You've got great matchups, Wisconsin and Michigan. Your man, Rich Rodriguez, in the big house with his first Big Ten game. You've got really intrigued with the league this year, and you may see a wild card team in this game right here if one of these teams can get hot.
I think there's a lot of parity in the league. I think the only team that's really separated itself from everyone else so far is Penn State. I know Wisconsin's undefeated. They have a good football team, but just from an athlete standpoint, I think Penn State right now is on top.
All day for Bachér. Oh, what a great catch by Sutton with one hand, and the extra effort gets him the first down. Bradley Fletcher on the stop, but Sutton made a magnificent catch. That's an 8-yard gain, and Northwestern keeps it alive.
And it's just invaluable, when you have a player on offense who can make up, maybe for the lack of detail, lack of precision, on offense. Here's a guy, you don't have to throw it to him perfectly. You just get in his general vicinity, and he'll make the catch.
And Bachér gets it over to Ross Lane, so he's been throwing a lot of sidelines. Now, when do you take that shot? Maybe now? Do you take a shot to the middle of the field here, maybe even the end zone?
Well, I think the interesting part is their tempo. They're going with the super fast tempo, and at some point you do take a shot, but if you can just continually make gains on offense, then I don't see a need to switch.
Baché's got to watch his back, and he was able to get that pass off, and a couple of nifty moves by Ward. That's great running after the catch by Ward to get it down to the 15-yard line, stopping the clock for the first down.
And the change of pace on the tempo offensively for Northwestern has made a difference. If you see him right here, Rasheed Ward does a good job of coming back to the football. He has a hitch route, but he comes back and gives the quarterback a target.
Toward the end zone, and a great effort. That's going to be incomplete. Good coverage for Iowa that time. Ross Lane was the intended receiver. Bachér was blanketing him. And almost impossible for Bachér really to complete that pass.
And I know offensive coordinator Mike McCall on the sideline. He's like, no!
It's a long throw. I'll put it to you that way. 12th play of the drive is going to happen right here. And Sutton, a little hole popped up there. He'll get it to just shy of the 10-yard line. And there's Ballard in there again, along with Brett Greenwood, number 30. So here's a big third down. They need a little more than 5. And hold on just a second. Iowa will take their second timeout of this half. The gathering meeting around coordinator Norm Parker will yield what defense? We'll find out when we return. Northwestern 4 out of 8 on third down and facing a big third down here at the Iowa 11-yard line. They need to get it to the 5. They've been 16 for 16 this season, but only 9 touchdowns in the red zone. Flag is down, and this play will not count. It'll be a false start on Northwestern. After all that, changing the play, going through the whole Manning family routine.
And Iowa's been pretty good on red zone defense this year. Coming into the game, they're first in the Big Ten and third in the country in red zone defense.
You see Northwestern. You get all of your points in the red, 16 of 16 in the red zone. That's pretty good, but the 9 touchdowns has got to be a little disturbing because I would think you want to be about 3/4 or even 80% conversion in there.
You want to be better. One of the limitations, I think, for the spread is if you don't have an alternate offensive formation to get in when you get in the red zone because you're not working with a lot of space.
Bachér under pressure, lofts it out. Going to be way short of the first down. Maybe only a 1-yard gain by Ward. And so Amado Villarreal will come out with perhaps that block fresh in his mind. Brett Greenwood on the stop for the Hawkeyes.
That's a good job of that Iowa defensive bending but not breaking. Northwestern changed tempo offensively and it put them on their heels a little bit, but they hunkered down when it was needed and kept Northwestern from scoring a touchdown.
It's a 32-yard attempt. And all sorts of problems on the Northwestern side. Wow, if you can read lips, that's not pleasant.
Offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
It seems like Northwestern's only had 4 penalties. It seems like every one of them has carried some significant weight here, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, Northwestern need to take a deep breath. You know, it's only a 10-point ball game and compose themselves and execute this field goal.
37 yards. Remember, the first attempt for Northwestern was blocked. Not this one. Straight down the middle of the fairway, Northwestern is finally on the board as Villarreal gets it in for Northwestern. Now Iowa, after a long wait, will get the ball back. Villarreal's 37-yard field goal gives Northwestern their first points of this beautiful afternoon. 72 degrees to kickoff. And another sellout here at Kinnick. 97th homecoming. Iowa's won 51 of those, by the way, in their history. You see 14 plays, 54 yards, by far the longest Northwestern possession on the drive. And their defense really, Shelby, we haven't talked about them for a few minutes, but they have been key in the second quarter.
Yeah, they've done an outstanding job. They stepped up and, you know.
And Johnson Kilianos dragged down at about the 30-yard line. Good play by the Northwestern special teams.
They've stepped up and answered the call. You know, very bad first quarter defensively from Northwestern allowed Sean Green to really dominate that quarter. The second quarter, they came out, did a much better job of taking control of the line of scrimmage. You know, defensive coordinator Mike Hankins likes to call it the 6-inch war. He calls it. He wants to dominate the line of scrimmage. He calls that the 6-inch war.
Well, he had been at Wisconsin for Brett Bielema and was let go by Bielema, and Pat Fitzgerald wasted no time in placing that call. Sean Green to the outside. He's got the edge, and I'll tell you what, Brad Phillips saved a big chunk of yards just by shoving him out of bounds, but it's a gain of 11 and another Hawkeyes first down.
And I alluded to it earlier. Anytime you take that front 7 and you put them 3-4 yards away from the line of scrimmage, the entire front 7, all the running back has to do is get through the first level of defense, and he's all the way to the secondary.
107 for Green already, and a dozen carries and an 18-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. Picked up a couple that time. You can see Quentin Davey coming over from his linebacker position to make that stop. But now Iowa wants to give their defense a little rest. That's the first time that their defense was really stretched. I mean, Northwestern moved the ball well their first possession, but gave it up on an interception. Kirk Ferentz, two-time Big Ten Coach of the Year and the National Coach of the Year in 2002. It was interesting in talking to the two coaches, Sean. Both these teams were 6-6 last year. Now, that's bowl eligible, but they didn't make it. Neither team was invited to a postseason. And Kirk Ferentz said, you know, we had a great chance, and we just blew it when they lost to Western Michigan.
Which is the last game of the season last year.
First down in the Northwestern territory for the Hawkeyes. Nice looking throw by Stanzi, and Trey Strauss, the junior from Avon Lake, Ohio, was there for an 11-yard pickup.
And good job of Ricky Stanzi being patient. For a right-handed quarterback, it's always difficult when you roll to your left and have to throw the football. But he didn't panic. He allowed the route to develop down the field, allowed Trey Strauss opportunity to come back to the football, made a nice throw. It's the first down for that Iowa offense.
Stanzi's 8 out of 10, 62 yards and an interception. Fake the draw to Green. First deep shot of the ball game. Open! Touchdown, Iowa! Brodell!
And when you have as much success running the football with Sean Green, it opens up the play-action passing game. Right here, those safeties are so inclined to come up and try and help out that defensive front seven that they forget their responsibilities in the passing game, and you get your receivers matched up one-on-one outside. You see right there, the play action freezes the backer. Now the good thing about what Ricky Stanzi does, he doesn't try and make a perfect throw. He throws the ball up with air running to the middle of the field and allows his wide receiver Brodell to run under the football and catch it.
Where are the safeties here?
They're up trying to tackle Sean Green.
Who didn't have the ball, as we all know. PAT is good. Andy Brodell's first touchdown reception of the season, and his second touchdown of the season. He had a punt return earlier. He's trying to come all the way back from a very serious hamstring injury a year ago where he tore the hamstring off the bone. And even saying that gives me the willies. I can't even imagine the rehab and the pain and the surgery that he had to go through to make it back to play for Iowa. So if you're Northwestern now, Sean, you went through this big, long 14-play drive, and you gut it out, and then you get smacked in the face with this.
And if you're Iowa, those long drives set up this play. The ability to come out and dominate the line of scrimmage, create holes for that running back, it forces that secondary to become active in the running game. It forces them to continue to creep closer and closer to the line of scrimmage. And what happens is now your cornerbacks are on the island. Anytime a cornerback is forced to cover receiver with a two-way go with no help in the middle of the field, then it's very difficult. Ricky Stanzi, they gave him the starting job, and I think they're really happy with that decision right now. Even though he has a fumble, he has an interception, he's still done a good job of managing the game.
And they're got a cut man on him at the moment.
He's taking some shots.
Yeah, apparently must have taken one there, and they were kind of trying to remind him where he was. And what do you think of what he's done so far, though? I mean, he's had one throw that everybody in Iowa would like to not see again. But otherwise, what do you think?
Well, I think he's played well. You know, under these conditions, homecoming, everybody's expecting a lot after the loss to Pittsburgh last year. And I think he's come in and he's handled it well. I think he's been extremely judicious with the football. I think he's been poised, which is a thing that you like to see. You know, anytime you have a young quarterback that throws an interception early, you want to see how he reacts, how he bounces back. Well, he came back, completed some passes, gets the opportunity to take advantage of a mistake on defense, capitalizes on that opportunity. That's what you want to see from your young quarterback.
In the meantime, the veteran quarterback, C.J. Bachér, the senior, trying to get an offense. Well, I can't say they didn't do well last time. They got a 45-yard drive, 14 plays, and got a field goal in, but boy, that just pales in comparison to what we just saw. And now he's got 2-11 and all of his timeouts to try to get Northwestern some more points. And deflected at the line by Matt Kroll. 2nd and 10.
An interesting thing about today is Ricky Stanzi's almost playing like the senior, and C.J. Bachér is almost playing like, you know, the young quarterback without a lot of experience. You really want to see him, because of the amount of time that he's played, really step up and lead his offense now.
And go to Sutton, and boy, he ran right into the arms of Adrian Claiborne. Maybe a yard. And where's your 3rd down and 9? We need to move down the field play here, Sean, with 1:46 to go. And this crowd, everybody now on their feet.
Well, if you're an Iowa fan right now, you want to stop. You want to get off the field. You want to give your offense, your young quarterback, opportunity to run a 2-minute drill. If you're on the Northwestern side, you want to take a deep breath. You want to just run your offense because 39 is not insurmountable down in distance.
And Bachér out on an island, and he'll get maybe 3 yards, and Iowa will force the punt. As a matter of fact, I think Kirk Ferrett's going to take a timeout right here and use his last one. Otherwise, Northwestern was just going to milk the clock. So we've got 70 seconds remaining in this second quarter. Iowa will get the ball back, but they will not have any timeouts. That's good strategy with these new timing rules, because if you're Northwestern, you're just going to sit there before you punt. Well,
you do a huge injustice to anybody that's not in the preseason top 25 by doing it in the preseason. And I'm just against starting this year. I think this should be the first week that it comes out.
Chance here for Brodell. Got 1 touchdown today. He's not going to get one here, though. And they put the ball down. And it is Northwestern ball. Recovery that time by Trevain Matthews, number 87. And that's just like hitting a big play.
And that's a huge mistake, especially at this point in the game. You know, you're pretty much dominating the game. All the momentum's in your favor. And right here, when the play's over, you have to be willing to just say, okay, the play's over. You got to be aware when those guys get around you how secure you have that football. You have to tuck it, get both hands on it so that no one can come and hit it out. Good job right there by the Northwestern defender of hitting the ball out.
That was Brunner who did that. Looked like his knee was very close to being down. Now Bachér lost his towel but hung on to the football and gained 6. The Iowa defender only came away with Bashay's towel and not the quarterback. Now he's got 3 timeouts here. He could use one right now, but instead they're trying to speed up the tempo. That's a dangerous pass there, and that's going to be incomplete. That'll stop the clock. 3rd down and 4 coming up.
And they've run this rollout to the 3 wide receiver side where the outside receiver runs the hitch route. And Amari Spavey has recognized that route, and he's just waiting on it. So CJ has to be extremely careful when he throws that football.
He's thrown 24, completed 13 for 118 yards and 1 interception. And now Northwestern will take one of those 3 timeouts. 37 seconds remaining. So after Iowa goes for the long touchdown, Northwestern gets a big break on the fumble punt. They're in field goal range, but they need more. Northwestern in Iowa territory, facing 3rd down and 4 from the Hawkeyes 27. Wide open inside the 10. And inside the 5 is Rashid Ward. That will stop the clock. 24 yards on that. 29 seconds remaining. It's Harold Dalton who may have saved a touchdown. Northwestern will take their 2nd timeout.
And I like this decision, by the Northwestern coaching staff right here. Just had a big play. Now what you want to do is you're on the 4-yard line, so you don't want to waste the play. A lot of teams right there will run up and call a play really fast and, maybe waste the play. You have 2 timeouts left. You have 1 timeout left, so you do have the opportunity to stop the clock if necessary. So this allows you to get to the sideline, not only with the first play, but it allows you, Dave, to come up with the 2nd and 3rd play if you don't succeed with the first one. So now you can kind of have a strategy. You can pull CJ to the side, the quarterback, and say, if this isn't open, you can throw the football away because we're going to come back and run a play after that.
Any thought of Sutton on the ground here? With the timeout, if he doesn't make it, you could play it that way.
With the spread offense, this is when I would like to go to the line of scrimmage as a quarterback and have a run to Sutton called, but be in the hold tempo where I give the defense the look that I'm going to snap the ball do my thing, but then go to the sideline. So if they're in a blitz package or something where the run isn't effective, then we can get to another play.
Sutton over the left of the quarterback.
And you see that's what they're doing. They wanted to see how Iowa was going to line up and then make their decision based on the alignment of that Iowa defense.
It is Sutton on the ground, and great determination, but he's a yard short. Now you got to take that timeout, and Pat Fitzgerald's about a third of the way onto the field to make sure it gets done. Claiborne and Greenwood in on the stop. All right, now you got 3rd and 1. Now if you run the ball and don't make it, you're in big trouble because you can't spike the ball.
And one of the things that we had when I was under Coach Rodriguez, one of the things that we had in that situation, if we were going to run that play, we would say that if we don't make this, we want to get in our hurry-up quarterback sneak. What we want to do is, if we don't, Terrell Sutton doesn't score, we want to immediately go to the line of scrimmage, be in an empty formation, and quarterback sneak, because you're right at the 1-yard line. You won't give the defensive line an opportunity to get tight and stop the sneak. And those are one of the things with that spread offense that you have to start utilizing the little nuance, especially when you get in the red zone, because it's not as effective because you have limited amount of space.
See what they come up with here, because Northwestern's only had field goals so far, and 6 after what Iowa did to them on the long bomb. It is 2nd down, not 3rd, 2nd down and a yard to go. So if they don't make it on the ground, they can spike the football. Open in the end zone, touchdown Northwestern. The nice catch made by Ward.
And this was an outstanding play call by offensive coordinator Mike McCall. He knows Iowa's tendencies in this situation. He understands they're going to be in man-to-man defense.
For Ward, his first touchdown catch, and for Bachér, his 4th touchdown pass.
So you bring your receiver, your single receiver, in motion, and you snap the ball before he gets outside of the other receivers and allow their natural release to become a pick for the defender Gardner.
And a PAT slides through. When they did this before, they flooded one side, very often the right side. This time, Sean, they flooded the left side.
And what happens is you see the replay, that you see the defender chasing the man in motion. He has this receiver man-to-man. But because of where they snap the football, it creates a natural pick for the defender that he has to go on top of those guys. And that's all you need when you're that close to the goal line. So that's an excellent schematic decision, knowing the tendencies of the Iowa defense. They like to play man-to-man. You try and take advantage of that in certain situations.
Well, Northwestern has survived a few crises in this game. And unless something unusual happens here, we'll go into halftime with Northwestern trailing by 7. How do you think they ought to feel going into the locker room?
Well, I think you ought to feel exceptionally well if you're on the Northwestern side of the ball, because when you think of the success that Sean Green has had running the football, when you think of the inability of your offense for the most part to sustain drives, you would think that they would be down 2-3 touchdowns, but to go in down only 7, you can kind of get fixed the things that you were doing wrong in the beginning. If you're Iowa, you just keep grinding. You go in, you tell your guys, we're doing everything right. We just got to get a little more on top of the details and come back out and repeat the second half.
So Hampton and Johnson Kulianos in not very deep formation, hanging around the 10-yard line for the kickoff. And this will be Jewel Hampton. To jump over his own man, who went to go pick up Hampton's fumble, but Hampton had already taken care of that. And with 11 seconds to go and no timeouts, I imagine you'd probably just see a knee here, and Iowa will take that 7-point lead into the dressing room.
I definitely think that's what you do. You know, what you do in football games, Dave, as coaches, you try and break them into halves. You know, right now, Iowa has won the first half of this football game. So you go into the locker room up and you tell your team, if we come out and we win the second half of the football game, then we win the game.
So on opening day around the Big Ten, with Michigan State in front, Ohio State in front, Iowa goes to the locker room in front, 17-10. Behind the great play of running back Sean Green, but Northwestern has made a move in the second quarter, down 17-3. They get a big touchdown they had to have. It's homecoming in Iowa City, and the home team so far enjoying a 17-10 lead in the Big Ten opener for both these schools. With Sean King, I'm Dave Lamont, and so far we've gotten kind of what we expected out of Sean Green. Ricky Stanzi's been an interesting development for Iowa, getting the quarterback job after alternating with Jake Christensen.
Well, I think offensively for Iowa, they've run the ball extremely well. Been really effective with Sean Green, getting him to the second level, and he's done the rest. At quarterback, you have a young quarterback in Ricky Stanzi, but you know, one of the reasons Ricky Stanzi's been able to have success is because of Sean Green. I mean, that offensive line has done an outstanding job, as I said, of getting him to the second level. And when you have a running back who has as much athletic ability and is the size of Sean Green, that's a recipe for success. Get him past the first line of defense, and he'll do the rest. The young quarterback, Ricky Stanzi, of course, he's had some great plays, he's had some bad plays, but I like overall what he's been able to do. I thought he's thrown the ball with command. I thought he's been very poised in the pocket. When he's had opportunities down the field to make plays, he's made those plays. So you're going to have some mistakes with a young quarterback, but overall, I think his performance has been outstanding in the first half.
Now, C.J. Bachér admittedly had some shaky moments in the early going of the first half, but his best drive was the last drive for Northwestern, and one they really had to have.
And they really needed it. You know, it was a situation going to the locker room. You want to take some momentum into the locker room. C.J. Bachér is a senior. He hasn't played as well as I'm sure he'd like, but at the end of the day, right before the half, when his team needed him the most, he stepped up and made the plays necessary to get them in the end zone. And it's funny how football is so much about momentum. You can have a bad half, but you do something right before the half, you know, and that creates momentum necessary to come out in the second half and put together some more productive drives and get some more points and ultimately try and lead your team to victory.
All right, let's talk about some adjustments need to be made. One thing missing for Northwestern, Tyrell Sutton has not gotten off, and they really need him to do so. What do you do to get him going on the ground?
Well, I think you have to sustain drives. Northwestern offensively, they haven't been able to get enough first downs to get him the number of touches that he needs to have the impact that he can have. And if they can get some first downs and get more opportunities to get him the football, then he's done well with the limited number of touches that he's had.
For Iowa's offense, do you change anything from what you saw in the first half?
Well, if you're Ricky Stanzi, you take out the fumble and the interception. And one thing that they want to do, they want to come out, they want to get touchdowns. They've done a great job of moving the ball up and down the field, but only 17 points to show for it. So if I'm Iowa offense, I'm going to do the same thing I'm doing, but just do it a little better so that we get touchdowns. We don't have to settle for field goals. We don't have to depend on turnovers.
So how does Northwestern stop Green? I mean, that's been the biggest problem. He's averaging about 10 yards a pop.
Well, they made the decision. They're going to put a lot of people in the box. They're going to try and take away the run by numbers. What they haven't been able to do is get off the blocks. That offensive line of the Iowa Hawkeyes has dominated the front seven of the Northwestern Wildcats. So if they're going to put all those people in the box, you have to get off those blocks so that you can get to the ball carrier.
Yeah, first day of the Big Ten here in Iowa City, and it's the home team on top 17-10. Football presented by Southwest Airlines and ABC tonight at 8 Eastern. Check your local listings for the game in your area. And for more information, you can always log on to ESPN.com. We talked about the Big Ten opening up today. Who else is involved? Well, look at this game between Michigan State and Indiana in Bloomington. Ohio State, Minnesota came into that game unbeaten, but really not tremendously tested. Wisconsin and Michigan teeing off shortly. Purdue, Notre Dame, and of course the big game tonight. Now, you mentioned Penn State might be your pick here, but take a look at that field. Is there a wild card in here that you're looking at, including these two teams that might get in Penn State's way?
Well, I think Wisconsin, if you look at Wisconsin, they have an excellent running back in Hill. You know, they have a lot of veteran leadership on that team who've been through the Big Ten before, who understand what it takes to win week in and week out. But I think if you look at it from strictly a level of athleticism on those teams, Penn State to me is head and shoulders above everyone else.
Northwestern is undefeated through 4 games for the first time since Ara Parseghian was the coach in 1962, but it's Iowa in front. Pat Fitzgerald in his 3rd season at Northwestern, career record of 14 wins and 14 defeats. Take a look at Ricky Stanzi, who won the quarterback job over Jake Christensen and has played largely well. As we take a look at the number picture, of course, the number 1 number is that score, but rushing yards has been a problem for Northwestern to get Sutton going. Total yards, Iowa with the advantage, but Northwestern staying in the game because of the Iowa turnovers.
They are. The turnovers have definitely kept this Northwestern Wildcat team in the ball game, but having said that, when you're running the football at the rate that Iowa is, you can definitely build on that going into the second half.
But they won't get the ball first. Ebert and Matthews back deep. Kicking this toward Matthews. And he gets to the 25, and boy, that's it. That looked like that had some potential, and that may have lost the football. Let's see.
And that's a huge break for Northwestern, because it couldn't have been a worse way to start the second half would be to lose the kickoff to a fumble.
Let's see what happened to it. He was going along pretty well there until, oh yeah.
And it definitely was a loose football. Good job of Northwestern being alert on their kickoff return team.
Jamie Murphy forced the fumble. It was recovered by Brendan Smith, pardon me. And this is the same kind of play calling that worked for Northwestern, and they got a bonus. Bad tackling by Iowa, and Ross Lane gets it all the way down to the Iowa 41-yard line. A 35-yard gain on the first play of the half for Northwestern.
And this is an outstanding play by Ross Lane, not only catching the football, but understanding that he had help coming from the inside. Great block by the tight end. Now he gets up the field. Now, come on, Ross. All Florida boys are supposed to be fast. Pick those feet up a little quicker.
Greenwood on the touchdown saving tackle.
Ross being from Fort Myers, Florida, down Bishop Moret High School.
Little reverse action with Peterman, and he gets a great block, and that's a first down. I tell you what, Desmond Taylor, the right tackle, a junior out of Los Angeles, provided a big block that allowed Peterman to cut off of that and get the Northwestern first down in a gain of 15.
And it seems as the offensive coordinator Mike McCall has made some adjustments at halftime. They came out the second half and seemed like they have a better understanding of what Iowa's supposed to do. They've been keying on Terrell Sutton. You run the misdirection reverse with Sutton and get Peterman outside in a good game.
Takes the underneath. And that time, Sean, as Sutton nearly gets the first down, there was an example of he had the time. He looked around, and then I'm guessing that was a check down to another receiver.
And that's exactly what I was saying in the first half. And one of the things I thought CJ was doing was he was going directly to his secondary receivers check down. If you notice on this play, he looks down the field, gives those receivers an opportunity to create room. They don't do it. Now I come and check down to the running back. What it also does is the defense is looking at his eyes. So when he's looking down the field, the defense in their zone is going towards his eyes. Now when you come back to that running back, he has more room to operate.
4 catches for Sutton, 61 yards. First down again. Northwestern wide open in the back of the end zone is Peterman, and Northwestern just charges down the field and shocks this crowd.
And when you have a senior quarterback like C.J. Bachér, that's what you want to see. You want to see poise back there. You want to see a guy that understands what we're doing offensively. And if you can see the comfort. He's not panicking. He knows his guy's open. He throws him a football that's accurate, that's on time. And that's what I didn't see in the first half, but I'm seeing it in this last drive of the second half. I mean, of the first half and the first drive of the second.
But there are people who haven't even gotten their halftime hot dogs yet who missed that display by the Wildcats offense. But the extra point is missed wide right. Well, you talk about a guy in Bachér who hadn't missed a kick all season. He's had a field goal block and then misses the point after touchdown. We've played 90 seconds of the third quarter, and Northwestern sharply marches down the field, and Bachér with his second touchdown pass of the afternoon. There's a little knot of purple in a stadium filled with black and gold, and they're happy after Northwestern marches 76 yards in 4 plays in a minute and 32 seconds. A 15-yard Bachér to Peterman touchdown pass, putting that one away. And where was that in the first half? That was impressive.
Well, I think they opened up the playbook a little bit to open the second half. I think, they talked to CJ at halftime and said, "You're our senior leader on offense. We're going to live with you in the second half." He gave him the responsibility. He definitely stepped up to it in the first drive.
Spivey on the kick return, fumbles the football, and Northwestern had it. But wait, yes they do. And this crowd is shocked. Looks like Matthews on the recovery. That is the 4th Hawkeyes turnover.
And isn't it ironic? Matthews fumbles the opening kickoff and gets recovered by his own team, and then he recovers the fumble of the Iowa kick returner on the next kick return.
Well, a little bit of confusion there to start couldn't have helped.
And Spivey actually, the ball ricochets off his knee as he's trying to make a move.
And that's Vince Brown, who had an interception in this game, who forces the fumble on the special teams.
You know, that's the 4th turnover for this Iowa Hawkeye team today. And, you know, when you lose that turnover battle, you're very generally going to lose the football game. It's tough to overcome multiple turnovers.
And Sutton gets through. And that should be just maybe a foot shy of the first down. Tarpinian on the stop, the weak side linebacker position. He's back from injury. Well, Iowa was a +4 in turnovers in their 3-1 start, and they are -3 today. I think at Northwestern in the kicking game, Sean, they've had a field goal block and an extra point missed.
And that's been a strength of theirs coming into today. You know, was their kicking game, but they've struggled with today, but they've been able to overcome it.
Bachér, nice handiwork with a football on a first down for the Wildcats as Anger and Claiborne stopped him at the 5.
And so far in the second half, you just see a different C.J. Bachér at quarterback. The way he's carrying himself, his mannerisms, the way he's interacting with his teammates. It's almost like he's a completely different player.
I think that started on that last drive, Sean, when he moved them down very nicely, no mistakes, got the touchdown pass. That's all he needed, I think, because he had not thrown a touchdown pass for 3 games prior to this one.
It's always good to get your first one.
Trying to get a third in the ball game here, and there's a flag down in the end zone. On the second E of Hawkeyes in the end zone came a flag after the ball was dropped by Lane in a low throw.
And Northwestern ran a pick play, which is very common in the
pass interference, number 11, offense.
Got caught.
Penalties 15 yards from the previous spot, and we repeat, first down.
It's a pick play, and it's very common when you have the spread offense. Anytime you get man-to-man coverage outside, your receivers basically switch positions. Your outside receiver comes in, your inside receiver goes out, and you teach the inside guy to make sure that he interferes with the outside receiver's defensive player.
Oh, we have an official who just is the line judge. And I believe that's the line judge, and I don't know what happened. He may have collided with Jacody Coleman, the Iowa player. Crowd noticed this, and you heard a little groan go up, and then we picked up on it. Boy, that's odd, as we were getting close to a snap. So we'll have an official's timeout. And we will take a short break, and hopefully we'll get this official back into action. Northwestern at the 20-yard line. What's going on here is at Kinnick Stadium in the third quarter, we had an unusual collision. The line judge, Robert Davis, was backing up and did not notice that Jacody Coleman, an Iowa reserve linebacker, was racing onto the field at full speed and backed into Coleman, who just hit him full on. And he's been down for about 4 or 5 minutes now. And you see the medical staff there. He is conscious and looked like he'd been conscious the entire time. It's a hospital right across the street practically from the stadium if they need to do that. And if necessary, they'll continue without him. I don't know if they have an alternate official here, but there you see the hospital right behind our stadium here at Niall Kinnick. So a most unusual situation and an accident, obviously. And happy to see Robert up, and hopefully he'll be able to tough it out. But he just got knocked a little loopy there, I would say. Yeah, he doesn't want to have any more collisions with any more players at any speed right now. So I would assume that our referee will make an announcement here that they may continue. And he's ready to bring this football game back. Referee Todd Gearlings and his Big Ten crew. And they'll do it without a line judge. Now, our situation on the field is after a Northwestern pass interference penalty on the offense. It is now 1st and goal from the 20. This off of Iowa. Special teams fumble, giving Northwestern the ball back in great field position. And trying to get Sutton going, and the holes are opening up a little better for Tyrell Sutton as he gains 6. Jacody Coleman made the stop there, so he's had 2 collisions now in the last couple of minutes.
And anytime you have really, really good running backs, and Tyrell Sutton's definitely a really good running back, the more touches you give them, the better they get. You know, a lot of times the defense can have success early and teams have been impatient with the running back. If you just stick with those guys, they'll eventually start to create big plays.
That was his 16th carry for 58 yards. Pitch out. Conte wiped out. No chance. And Iowa's defense, there is Jacody Coleman playing full speed again for the Hawkeyes. That'll lose 3. And now it's going to be 3rd and very long to go for the touchdown.
And that's an excellent job right there of Iowa waiting until after CJ had looked to the sideline and got an alternate play before they got into the actual front on defense that they were going to run.
Blocked, rejected. Claiborne. Boy, Iowa's defense, you got to give them a lot of credit. Northwestern was at the 5. A penalty and some sterling defensive play from one of the stingiest defenses in the country in points per game.
Yeah, they're 1st in red zone defense in the Big Ten and 3rd in the country. And considering the struggles that Northwestern has had with their field goal team, you know, that's big because this has definitely not been a gimme today.
No, not at all. Villarreal has had a field goal blocked. He has missed a PAT. Well, he came into this game an overall 19 for 19. He has now missed 2 field goals and had a PAT missed as well, or actually 1 field goal blocked and a missed PAT, and now a missed field goal. And Iowa hanging on by fingernails here as they get the football back after the defense comes through big. Iowa dodges a huge bullet as Northwestern has another field goal awry, and that's why Iowa maintains the lead. Well, it is homecoming here at Kinnick Stadium. Along with Sean King, I'm Dave Lamont, joined by Jared DeVries. 99 draft choice of the Detroit Lions back in the 3rd round. Welcome back. You haven't been here in a while, have
Thanks.
you?
It has been a long time.
What do you think of the place?
It's beautiful. I haven't been back since the renovation, but it's absolutely beautiful here. We just dodged a huge bullet, though.
What do you think? I was about to say, what do you think of the Iowa defense they're putting up? I mean, you're down Northwestern at the 5-yard line, and then the penalty obviously helped, but some big plays.
Yeah, mistakes are hurting both teams right now. That penalty hurt Northwestern, and fumbles and interceptions are killing the Hawks.
Now, did you and Sean's NFL fortunes cross ever so briefly? Did I understand that?
Yeah, we talked about that last night. Snapshot, what we call?
I was there for a very brief period of time. I was actually in Detroit with Jared when Rob Marinelli, who's the current coach, when he initially got that job. I was actually there for the off-season program.
We got him in shape and sent him to Indy, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then I had an outstanding offseason in Indy, and they cut me. So.
Well, I think you might have had a little competition for the job there, huh?
Yeah. So what do you think of Sean Green so far, Jared, the running back from Iowa?
Oh, he runs tough. First half, you know, he was just doing whatever he wanted, getting to the outside, getting the ball turned up, but he's doing a great job. We need a little more of that here in the second half. Quit with all these mistakes and get back on track here.
Now Green's gotten 1st down on a couple of carries already, so he's well over 100 yards.
He went for 110 in the first half.
Not this time, however, although you notice he does not quit. And if he'd been able to somehow get out of there, it would have been spectacular, maybe about a half a yard. All right, well, Jared, I went through the Detroit airport to get here, and obviously there's all the talk about Matt Millen, and a huge amount of joy. Now, obviously, from the player's perspective, you can't celebrate this, but what do you think it might mean for the organization?
Long term, it's going to have some effects on it, I think. You know, immediately this season, the guys that he put in place are still going to be there. You know, there might be small changes, but I was a fan of Matt. Matt was a believer in me, and he gave me an opportunity in the NFL for the last 8 years, and can't ever say anything bad about a guy that provides that opportunity for you.
And I actually think that Matt Millen's an outstanding person. You know, I was there. And, you know, Dave, he's a great guy. He's very personable. He's a guy that interacts with his players. And just unfortunately, because I think of the amount of turnover they had at head coach, you know, from different scheme to scheme, he wasn't able to get any kind of success going. And ultimately, at the end of the day in the National Football League, the bottom line is wins and losses.
Yeah, you bring up that head coaching. I played for 6 different head coaches in 10 years, and that's a lot. Players never get used to a certain scheme, and it's just hard. And hopefully, keep Rod around.
And for the first time today, Iowa hits on 3rd down, and they hit it big. And who else but Sean Green? Brendan Smith may have saved a 6-pointer. That's a 23-yard pickup.
And you being a defensive lineman, Jared, when you are going against an offense that's doing an outstanding job, that offensive line, if you see they have a hat for a hat. Every defender has an Iowa player on and blocking him. How do you make adjustments defensively to try and negate, you know, some of the success that offense is having on you running the football?
Well, it's up to the guys up front to get off their guys. You know, you got to win your one-on-ones, and it doesn't seem that Northwestern in front is doing that.
Now, being that it's homecoming, you know, homecoming is always a special moment on college campuses. Back when you were at Iowa, what's one of the most memorable moments that you had as a football player while you were fortunate enough to be here in Iowa City?
So many special moments here, especially at Kinnick. Special moments on the road. I remember going to the Big House playing the would-be national champions and having them down at halftime. But met a lot of great guys and a lot of special memories, and this place is definitely special to me.
Look at Sean Green spending a little time with the training staff, so Jewel Hampton goes into the tailback spot. And on the draw, well, he ran right into Quentin Davey. And they'll mark him down at the 40-yard line. That'll be a loss of 4. Just a 3rd down and 11. Well, Dallas Clark's been spotted around here. I mean, it's been nice that you guys, obviously with the bye week, give you an opportunity to come back and renew some acquaintances and see the town and see the campus.
Yeah, Coach got to speak with him briefly last night, and he welcomed us at any time. And that's one nice thing, you know, with the new staff coming in. He wants the former players to come back and be a part of this program still.
Iowa 1 for 4 on 3rd down. That one on this drive on the green run. Not much running room, certainly not first down running room. Flag down way behind the play, almost at midfield. Big hit by Malcolm Arrington. Boy, he has dropped several big hits in this game.
That's generally in the vicinity of offensive holding.
I think they might have got that right tackle.
You go on 3rd and long, those defensive linemen pinning those ears back, and they rush up the field. Those tackles don't like that.
Well, they kept the fullback, Brett Morse, in to block that time. Maybe he did it.
And Brett Morse, who was a high school quarterback. You know, we have a lot of players today who played quarterback in high school.
60, offense, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat, 3rd down.
You know, one of the things that I've learned about D-line, I mean, anytime they don't get to the quarterback on 3rd down, it's because they were being held.
Always.
In this case, it was apparently true.
One thing you know about old linemen, they'll hold on every play.
They definitely do. They're smart. The O-line are smart. They know the referee's not going to call holding every play.
Not back-to-back for sure.
Well, a lot of pressure this time for Northwestern. Flag down again. It is back-to-back holding penalties. And that far flight delivery, almost a disaster for Stanzi. Trying to get it to Johnson Kulianos. 2 flags are down, and they did call holding on back-to-back plays, Jared.
Well, I set myself up there.
And one thing that would concern me right there, Dave, is you have a young quarterback, Ricky Stanzi. I immediately, if I'm the quarterback coach or offensive coordinator, I pull him to the side, and I calmly tell him.
36 offense.
As we get the call from the ref, I calmly tell him that, Ricky, we can't win or lose a game on one play. You know, they did a good job. We're in a bad situation, 3rd and forever. Don't compound it by making a bad decision and giving Northwestern an opportunity to get an interception.
I just had this thought, just based on this quarter alone. Does it surprise you that Iowa's still ahead? I mean, they are leading by 1 point. It just doesn't seem like they should be.
It doesn't feel like it.
No. Brendan Smith hanging around the 10-yard line waiting for this punt from Donahue. A little funny spin on it coming out. Smith makes a nice catch. And Brendan Smith, oh, he has a chance at the edge. Flag is down. So this is going to come back. And how about the punter, Ryan Donahue, just putting him down at the 40-yard line. But there's going to be a flag, and undoubtedly it will be against Northwestern.
You know, as they await the call, one of the things I've always been in favor of is making my kickers go through tackling drills. Because at some point in the season, that kicker is going to be the last line of defense between the runner and the touchdown.
Receiving team, number 3, 10-yard penalty in the spot of the foul. First down.
Yeah, Northwestern will hang on to the football, of course, with 5.5 minutes left in this quarter. See if we can spot this.
And this is a good job right here of understanding, you know, how the return was set up. They obviously had a right return set up, so a good job of Brendan Smith getting outside. But if you look at the punter wasn't the hitter, he was the hitter, and that's what you like.
That wasn't some desperate grab for his ankles, man. He laid him out. Penetration that time by Carl Klug, the sophomore from Caledonia, Minnesota. That's a loss of a yard on Tyrell Sutton. I look like DeVries in there. I got a flashback to you.
Yeah, defensive lineman getting penetration, making tackles in the backfield. That was one of your staples when you were an Iowa Hawkeye.
That was a good play by him. Penetration is what they need.
They shake out of the empty backfield. This is going to be close to a first down with Peterman knocked out of bounds at the 25 by Spivey. So it's going to bring up 3rd down and about a yard to go, maybe 2. Let's call it 1. They finally decided to spot at the 25.
And I thought that was a good job right there by Northwestern quarterback C.J. Bachér. He's a senior. That's what you need in that instance. The crowd starting to get into the ball game. Defense makes a big play on first down. So second down, you have to come back and get the chains in a manageable situation, which 3rd and short definitely is.
2 super backs, which is sort of like tight end and running back hybrids in for Northwestern. Big Ten power football, and it's very close. They went with Sutton. Mitch King and Broderick Binns in on the stop for the Hawkeyes.
I just figured something out too, Dave. You like that, superbacks.
It's an odd name. I've never heard of. I've heard of Rovers. I've heard of H-backs. This is a hybrid of an H-back and a tight end.
Well, I think they need to change the name of it. You can't call the guy superback if he never touched the ball.
Good point.
Super decoy.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound. You can't recruit to that though, can you?
Come be our super decoy.
And Terrell did enough to pick up the first down. If you're going to recruit a guy to be a superback, you got to be able to show him some film. Well, what does a superback do? So far, he just go in motion.
Block.
And block. If I'm on offense and you're going to call me a superback, I'm in the coordinator's office every day.
Not that you weren't when you were in college.
Of course. I mean, hey.
Bachér with the shoulder fake trying to get open, and that's just not going to work as Lane was double covered.
You know, when I was at Tulane my last 2 years, I was fortunate. I had Tommy Bowden as a head coach and Rich Rodriguez as offensive coordinator, and I lived in Coach Rod's office. I did. I mean, as a player, I wanted to make sure that my head coach or my coordinators give me the opportunity to showcase my ability on Saturday. So what better way to do that than to show them that I wanted to be involved in what they were producing for the game plan.
But you were the quarterback. You were going to be involved anyway.
I left out the part that he kicked me out and locked the door every time.
I tell you what, that's a play that probably shouldn't have gained more than 1 yard, and Sutton fought for 6. That's tremendous effort from the senior from Akron.
And I think what we're seeing today is two really outstanding running backs. You know, of course, Sean Green from Iowa's done an outstanding job. But if you look at Terrell Sutton, who from a statistical standpoint hasn't had as good of a day as he's accustomed to, but he's still fighting. He still has his shoulder pad level low. He's still grinding his feet. He's still saying, you know what, I still want to carry this offense.
The numbers aren't sexy. 19 carries and 64 yards. He's also a good receiver out of the backfield. You might see it here. What you'll see is a first down throw to Peterman instead of the 39-yard line. Well, I tell you, the C.J. Bachér in this half, in this quarter, is 5 times more accurate and making way better decisions than even in the first half.
And that's what you expect from a senior. He's really settled down and allowed the offense to come to him. I thought he was really forcing the issue a little too much in the first half. He looked uncomfortable, but obviously whatever he was told at halftime, you know, he's come out and he's executed it, you know, extremely well.
He's 5 out of 7 in this quarter.
And in talking to that staff leading up to the game, the things that they said about CJ was he was smart, he was intelligent, he had a quick release, and now we're seeing all of those assets and attributes.
And to get to the edge. Oh, what a hit by Dalton! Wow! You could feel that one up here. Shook the wasp's nest loose downstairs below us.
Ooh. See, that's why I didn't play running back. I didn't like getting hit. And right there, Dalton hit Terrell Sutton.
I tell you what, he hit himself out of the game. Dalton took his helmet off and walked off the field, and hopefully he's okay. He's with the trainers, and they're going to sit him down. Sacrificed himself on that play. Slant in. Ooh, cute little move, but you know what? Might have cost him a first down. Rasheed Ward there. There you see Dalton.
One thing Northwestern's doing is they're getting into manageable third downs. You know, 3rd and short's easy for a coordinator and a quarterback.
That's very true, and that's one of the things in the first half they were not doing.
Yeah.
They were in a lot of 3rd and 6+ situations. And I think it all goes back to how CJ has played this second half. He's completing passes on first down, which is allowing them to run the ball a little bit with Terrell Sutton. You pick up 6-7 yards first 2 downs. Now you're right, it is a manageable 3rd down, and the entire playbook is open to you.
Northwestern 50% on 3rd down today, 7 of 14. Flag down behind the play as Omar Conte got the first down if it holds up.
I think we're talking about one of those holding calls. I think this one might be coming back.
And it definitely looks like he got a little encouragement
Holding.
from the Iowa sideline.
89 offense.
I saw that
10-yard
too.
penalty from the previous spot.
You know, I was down there for the first time as a non-player, and I can't believe how small those sidelines are.
And this is a play that, if I'm Northwestern, I really think about calling this one. They have not had a lot of success, as you see the hole right there by the superback, as you like to refer to him, Dave. And Josh Rooks. And how we were talking about 3rd and manageable. Now you get this Northwestern offense in the same situation that Iowa's found themselves in the second half, 3rd and long.
Now that D-line gets to pin their ears back again.
Iowa only puts 3 on that D-line and dropped 1 back into coverage. And it's going to be 4th down and about 4 for Northwestern. Is Anger, Fletcher in on that stop also. And Matt Krul running in on that play for Iowa. So the defense holds, and still, with 40 seconds to go, Iowa's likely going to walk out of here with a lead at the end of 3 quarters, and it is hard to imagine after 3 they'll be ahead of the way this 3rd quarter has gone, mostly for Northwestern.
And special teams has played a big role in today. Missed PAT, 2 missed field goals by Northwestern, 2 fumbles on a punt return and a kick return for Iowa's return unit.
This is a good-looking punt. And a wise decision by Brodell to make the fair catch at the 15-yard line. Jared, best of luck the rest of the season. Stay healthy.
Really
appreciate you coming
Thanks for
by.
having me on, guys.
Thanks for coming, Jared.
Jared DeVries, one-time Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, and we really appreciate him coming back while the Lions are on the bye week. Greg Biffle. You always get more by logging on to ESPN.com. And it's driven right out of bounds. It's Brodell after a short gain with pass from Stanzi. Sherrick McManus took him out. So that'll do it for the third quarter, Sean. And somehow Iowa hangs on to a tenuous 17-16 lead. They've got the football. Can they get Sean Green going again? It has worked well for the Hawkeyes so far. They have the lead with 1 quarter left. Fourth quarter about to begin here in Iowa City. Homecoming weekend. Chuck Berry was the homecoming parade grand marshal and performed a concert last night. Now the Hawkeyes and Wildcats performing here with 1 quarter to go. And there's Sean Green, and that's another first down for the Iowa running back, who's been outstanding today. Maben and Smith on the stop. Of course, those are defensive backs, and no coordinator likes to hear that if he's on the defensive side.
And if I'm Sean Green, I know he's still playing college football, but I probably scrounge up $6, $7 and go to the 99-cent spot and get all my big offensive linemen a sandwich, because they've done an outstanding job today of creating running room for Sean Green.
159 yards and 18 carries. That's astonishing. Stanzi. And that's going to be close to the first down. It'll be a couple of yards short. As Johnson Culianos, I think that's his first catch for the man they call DJK on campus. Biggest contribution prior to that catch was a block on a touchdown run, and a good one too. That's going to be a gain of 8, second down and 2. His 15th reception of the season. Big play player, just hasn't had the opportunity today.
And I've been impressed with Ricky Stanzi, the quarterback, who made that throw. I think, he's finally, elevated himself to be the unquestioned starter of this program, and I don't think he's done anything today to change that.
12 out of 15 for 128. He and Jake Christensen have been alternating starts and alternating minutes. And Green gets another first down for the Hawkeyes as Brad Phillips dragged him down. And that's an awkward situation. I mean, for Jake Christensen, Sean, you've got to feel badly for the young man. He's a junior. He knows now that it may take Stanzi being hurt or just having a really bad game to get in. But
everything the coaching staff has said is that he's handled it well. That, he's been very professional about it. He understands why the decision was made, and he's done his best to contribute to the team in any way that he can.
The numbers on the two quarterbacks weren't that far off either. Wasn't as if Stanzi was considerably better than Christensen, but Kirk Ferentz and his staff just saw something they liked, and it's worked out well so far today. Stanzi has a chance to go deep here and goes a little bit underneath, and a beautiful diving catch by Andy Brodell to the Northwestern 45-yard line for a gain of 16. When we asked the coach about Brodell's health, he said, well, he's not all the way back yet. He looks pretty close.
He does, and you see he's coming across the field, does a good job of getting vertical, and then makes an outstanding catch on a ball that's probably thrown a little low.
Well, one thing, you saw the time that he had there. Northwestern hasn't been able to sack him yet. They came into the game one of the best sacking defenses in the nation, and they don't have any.
Well, a great running game will definitely negate that pass rush.
Oh, you're not going to negate Sean Green today as Jordan Maben flipped him, and Green's a little bit shaken up. He could be just tired more than anything else. He has 7. He's got a shot today at 200 yards.
And he very well can get there, but I am just so impressed with the front 5 of the Iowa Hawkeyes. I mean, if you look at this, he's all the way to the safety before he encounters any Northwestern defenders. And when you can have that kind of just dominant presence with your running game from your front 5, from that offensive line and that tight end, I mean, it makes it so much easier on the running back.
That is a season high for him. Ooh. Wow, I don't know how he hung on to the ball. He may not have. He didn't. Northwestern forces a 5th Iowa turnover, and Brad Phillips with a monstrous hit.
And I think you said it right. I mean, this hit ricocheted throughout the entire stadium.
Mike Denard came out with the football for Northwestern.
And this is football, folks. Oof.
Well, Denard set him up, too. Denard slowed him down, and then you see the finish.
And that's why I had no interest in playing running back whatsoever.
And he couldn't see it coming either, you know. It wasn't like a head-on shot. He got it hit from the side. And happy to see he's got some of Kinnick with him in his face mask also. So you see his numbers, and hopefully he'll be able to return to the game as a fabulous football player. And now they're going to review the fumble. Every play is reviewed. This one's going to get some extra attention.
And then as we look at the replay, we can take a look at it ourselves. The initial contact is made. Let's focus on his knees. Does his knee hit the ground? Ball comes out. No, it looks like it's a fumble. Here's another angle as we watch Sean Green come down the line of scrimmage. He encounters contact. And that's just a good job of the defender. Brad Phillips coming in and making contact, you know, right on the football and drawing that football loose.
Green may not even know what happened. He got hit so hard.
After review, the play stands as called on the field. First down, Northwestern.
Well, there you go. Well, once again, the Iowa defense will be asked to bail out a mistake made either by special teams or by this offense. And I guess that's why I've remarked a couple of times, Sean, how amazed I am that it's still Iowa up front by 1 point.
And it's been a game that momentum shifts have been very evident, but neither team, when they've had momentum, have been able to pull away and create any kind of separation from the other.
Bachér on that slant. That's been a money play for the Wildcats and gets them into Hawkeyes territory with the speed of Rasheed Ward with another catch.
And this is a good job right here of CJ of being decisive. He's quick. He's accurate with the football. And when the team plays a lot of zone like Iowa does, they'll give you room to make those type of plays.
Bachér in big trouble there, and that's a dangerous pass. He was being hotly pursued by the middle linebacker, Pat Angerer. Sets up 2nd down and 10.
And Mitch King made that play just through pure effort. He was able to get through the blocking scheme of Northwestern and force C.J. Bachér to do something with the ball quicker than we'd have liked. And you see how much more confident he's been. In the first half, he had 15 completions for only 42 yards. The second half, he has 7 for 92.
They go to Sutton on the ground. Nothing wrong with that idea. Chad Geary tripped him up low, and then the Iowa defense comes in to finish him off high. So now an interesting call coming up here, Coach King, at 3rd down and about 5. What do you do here?
Well, I definitely think with your exterior wideouts, the guys on the outside, you give them opportunity to go down the field, and if they're not open, then you come down to Terrell Sutton one-on-one against the linebackers for your check down receiver.
From a lot to Lane and to Ward. Lane is number 9, Ward is number 8. Out on the flat, wide open, 1st down for Northwestern. That's Eric Peterman, the senior from Sherman, Illinois. And the Wildcats get ever closer. Dalton and Fletcher on the stop. Of course, here's the other thing. After a gain of 12, Sean, if you're Northwestern, if you're Pat Fitzgerald, you're tired of seeing your kicker out there. He's had a tough day.
Yeah, you haven't lost confidence in him, but you would rather the offense scores a touchdown. The thing I like about Northwestern is the second half, they're utilizing the entire field.
Little play action there. Bachér going for, well, I'm not sure. That was a little miscommunication. I think Ward was the intended receiver. Spivey was the closest human being to the ball other than the guy in the front row who almost caught it.
But one of the things that I'm going to go back to is I said that they're using the entire field. And the college hash marks are a lot wider than the NFL hash marks. So when you're on a hash mark, it's a lot of field away from the hash mark. And a lot of offenses don't utilize all that space. When you're playing against a zone, because of where those hash marks are, there's a lot of space that you can take advantage of.
Set up a screen here. And it's Sutton, and boy, Iowa played that really well. Coleman was in on that stop, Jacody Coleman. By the way, just to update everybody very quickly, on the officiating situation. Line judge Robert Davis was taken to the locker room. Doesn't look like he's going to continue, but we do have a replacement. Pat Bachér has come in, so we don't have anything else on the injured line judge. Hopefully he'll be just fine. There's Pat. Bachér, there's that slant, and it's going to be at the marker. Looks like a first down. And that's Rasheed Ward again. It's a gain of 9, and that's what Northwestern needed to keep the drive alive.
And when you go 3-by-1, when you put 3 receivers to one side and you throw to that single receiver and you're getting zone, a lot of times it's an easy throw. You can fit that throw in there.
Sutton got smacked almost a second. He got the handoff by the senior Mitch King. All Big Ten performer last season.
If you remember early in the first half when they threw the interception on the slant pass, it was because Iowa was in man coverage. They've yet to stop that slant trying to play zone because the corner's off and there's a window before you get to the linebacker where you can hit your wide receiver.
So second down and 10. Sutton remaining in the backfield. Haven't seen him as much as a receiving threat in this half as he was in the first. He'll try here, though. That was well covered. I tell you one thing, Iowa, as Pat Anger, the middle linebacker, knocked that away. Sean, Iowa has read now 2 screen passes in a row, almost perfectly.
And they tried to actually run a pick play right there. They tried to bring Terrell Sutton out of the backfield and have the front side wide receiver pick him. And the front side wide receiver did not do a good job of getting in the way of Pat Anger, and that's why he was there to make the play on Terrell Sutton.
So third down and 10 for Northwestern. In the kicking game today, they've had a field goal blocked, a field goal missed, and a PAT missed. Another screen. What a catch! Ooh, almost a helmet-to-helmet shot as Ward took it. And yes, I think that is going to be the call at the 10-yard line. And if that is the call, then it'll be a first down for the Wildcats.
And as you see, Iowa head coach Kirk Ferentz shake his head. This is the correct call by the way the rule reads. You know, it says anytime there's a helmet-to-helmet contact.
Personal foul, illegal helmet contact, number 28 at the defense, half the distance from the end of the catch, first down.
You know, and as the letter of the law, that's how the rule is stated, so that's going to be called. But having played football, having actually been out there on that field, it's almost impossible at times to avoid some of those collisions. And I think you have to take into account whether it was malicious intent behind it, and that time I didn't think it was.
10th play of the drive coming up. I guess there's no time to really read that till you have time to look at it later, you know. Conte in the backfield now. And he gets the handoff and gets it inside the 5, gains 2. So the senior from Cypress, Texas at that tailback. Mitch King making the stop. Well, that was a point of emphasis. I mean, you and I sat through an officiating conversation a couple of months ago, and they said this is one of the things we were really going to watch is the crown of the helmet and hitting head to head, and that's exactly what we saw there. So I'm sure the Iowa faithful are not very happy with that call, but you're right. That's what the rule says.
That's what the rule states. But again, I think sometimes when you come up with different rules, you have to take into account the ability to actually put those rules into effect in a way that's competitively fair for both teams.
Bachér to the end zone, touchdown Wildcats. That's Eric Peterman with his first touchdown in this quarter, second of the game. And now what do? Do you go for 1 or 2 here, Coach?
Well, I think you when you've struggled like they have in the kicking game, I think you go for 2.
And that's the only reason I mentioned it, by the way. I don't have a chart or a 2-point chart or anything like that, but you've had a very hard day in the kicking game. And if you make this, then you're forcing Iowa to put up 7, obviously.
And I agree with that, especially this late in the ball game. If it was early in the game, then I would probably just kick the extra point. But knowing that your kicker's struggling right now, if you have a play that you feel comfortable with, which is probably the pick play they ran earlier, then I would go with it.
Boy, that is throwing into a huge crowd, and that will not work. However, Northwestern, for the first time today, has the lead in this football game, 22-17. A.J. Eads knocked that pass down. What will Iowa do for the first time? They have to try to come from behind as Bachér and Peterman hook up for the second time today. So Northwestern for the first time today has a lead. This was a 17-3 Iowa lead at one point in the first half. And the Wildcats have ripped off 19 unanswered points, helped in part by Iowa mistakes. 5 turnovers by the Hawkeyes here in their 97th homecoming. But 7:54 left. Interesting to see if Sean Green is able to return to this game too, Sean King.
And this game is setting up for the young quarterback to have a chance to solidify himself in the Iowa lore early in his career. This is just setting up like that type of game where he's going to get a chance at the end of the game to lead his team down the field and win the football game.
Yeah, talking about Ricky Stanzi, who's got the job. Jewel Hampton is in the tailback position. So Green was shaken up on a vicious hit that caused a fumble that led to Northwestern scoring. Not in the game. Green at career high 159 yards today too. And here's a formation we haven't seen very often. Fullback Wade Leppert in the game now. Good old-fashioned eye. Beautiful catch by Brodell. He's had a nice game at that split end position for Iowa. That's a gain of 25. Brendan Smith on the stop.
And I like the poise right here. You see the play action fake. You know, with young quarterbacks, you like to see when they have good ball handling. He's poised, his head's down the field. He makes a good throw, a catchable ball for his wide receiver. And Brodell does a good job of not only catching the football, but getting an extra 10, 12 yards after the catch.
6 catches, 137 for Brodell.
He's definitely made the people down in Kinnick, Iowa happy today. He's represented them very well.
Nice block by Hampton on the blitz. They get it out to the fullback, Leppert. And a big Iowa fullback getting about 8 yards on that play. Sherrick McManus brought him down. Leppert's 4th catch on the year. They've used that freshman before. Sets up a nice situation for an offensive coordinator here. Ken O'Keefe's got a lot of plays to choose from on 2nd and 2. And heavy substitution also now for Iowa as they check out some of this power package. What do you think of Stanzi as far as his ability to manage this game, deal with the crowd, deal with the mistakes, deal with the turnovers, not all of which have been his fault, by the way?
Well, I like everything that I've seen from Stanzi today, especially his poise. You know, I like the way he seems like he understands what they're doing offensively. The talent's there. When the experience comes, I think they're going to have a pretty good quarterback on their hands.
They might have one right now. As reaching for a little bit extra that time, Trey Strauss, the junior. There's a flag down in the middle of the field at about the 37-yard line. And they move it up to the 42. You can always tell by the reaction of the coaches which way this flag goes. And I would say Kirk Ferentz is unhappy.
Pass interference, 82 offense. Pass went beyond the line of scrimmage. We've got a 15-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
And that's a big penalty because it's a 15-yard penalty. So you go from 2nd and 2 to 2nd and 17.
All right.
Oh, and he does. He actually pushes Quentin Davey down to the ground. You know, and that's definitely illegal, and it was definitely unnecessary. It didn't seem like it impacted the result, but
that's what I was going to say.
Penalty.
That's what I was going to say. Okay, I'll let your statement stand.
It definitely didn't impact the play.
It impacted the play all right in another way. It's 2nd and 17. Iowa's back in their own yard to 38. Boy, you could see the jump off the ball. There's the first sack of the game by Northwestern. And Corey Wooten, you saw that happen the second he got off the ball so quickly. First sack for Northwestern, 16th on the year.
And this Northwestern defense has had 15 sacks coming into today's game. But because of the effectiveness of the running game of Iowa, they haven't been able to actually rush the passer. They spent all day trying to make sure that they try and negate this rushing attack. Well, now you get 2nd and 17. They can pin their ears back and come after Ricky Stanzi.
That's a loss of 10. 3rd and 27. Iowa trying to mount a comeback after being ahead 17-3. There you see what Northwestern has done this season compared to last. Look out for sack number 17 from number 17. Brad Phillips, the safety, came in unblocked. Loss of 8.
And now you see some of the aggressiveness, some of the blitz package, the different zone packages from the blitz standpoint that defensive coordinator Mike Hankwitz brought with him from Wisconsin. And when you can get your opposition, the other offense into pass situations, now you can afford the blitz safeties and do all the different things to try and confuse the young quarterback.
Well, Phillips has had a few big hits in this quarter. It was he who knocked Sean Green out of the game. We can't even find Green on the bench. It's a big punt from Donahue, who has a career high of 82 yards and a fair catch by Brendan Smith. So a 56-yard punt for Ryan Donahue. Northwestern has the ball. They have the lead and 4:38 remaining. Northwestern trying to put this ball game away and go to 5-0. They haven't done that since 1962. And no surprise they go to Tyrell Sutton. Pat Angerer, no surprise, making the stop. Speaking of great backs, Sean Green, we understand now from the Iowa personnel. Iowa's going to take one of their timeouts here. That he is likely not to return, but they're calling just a head injury on the blast he took. And there he is, career high today, Sean, 159 yards, but it doesn't appear he's going to get a chance to add any more to that. That is a shame.
And he did take a big shot from Brad Phillips. Actually came through and run his bell a little bit, and you know, it looks like they're going to have to win this football game by throwing the football anyway. So if you're unsure of the health of your star player, especially at this point in the game, then you want to err on the side of caution. I mean, this is a big hit, you know, by Brad Phillips.
Now that looks very close to a helmet-to-helmet hit, but it looked more the side of the helmet as opposed to the one that was called on the personal foul on the last Northwestern drive.
You know, Dave, all those are going to be subjectional, those kind of plays, because when you're out there and you're playing and everything's full speed, you know, you're trying to focus on getting the player on the ground. You know, if you start thinking about, well, I can't do this or that, that's when you start missing tackles.
Sutton again. And no missed tackle for Mitch King that time at the 30. Now, here you're seeing the impact of the new timing rules, Sean, as to why Kirk Ferentz is using timeouts with 4.5 minutes remaining.
And this is smart, I think, by him, because first of all, you have a young quarterback. So if you do get the football back, a touchdown wins the game. You want your quarterback to have as much time as possible. And the asset on offense that you have is that the clock stops after every first down for them to reset the chains. Defensively, because of the 40-second clock, the way that it's implemented this year, you can drain a lot of time off the clock if you don't use these timeouts.
Of course, it would be disastrous for Iowa if Northwestern gets the first down, because they will be able to do just that. Kirk Ferentz, in the meantime, getting in a few words with the referee, in addition to saying we'll probably take another timeout if we need to. But he may have had a few other words of complaint also. I don't know. The Big Ten opener for these teams, it's Big Ten day, except for Purdue, because they're playing at Notre Dame. But
regardless of the outcome today, Kirk Ferentz is going to be very upset with his ball club because of the amount of times that they've turned the football over this afternoon.
5 is and a couple on special teams, too. Those are the ones you just have no expectation that kind of thing's going to happen. Bachér, tough throw, and it's going to be a chance for Iowa here. Tried to hit it to Ross Lane. That was a difficult play to complete as Bachér was being chased by Kroll. And I think you get out of his way if he's chasing you.
And it's an incomplete pass, so that stops the clock. So now Iowa also retains one of their timeouts.
Yes, they do. And an opportunity here. And you do have a punt returner in Andy Brodell, who has taken one back already this season. He is back deep. Colin Sandeman is the short receiver. And Iowa trying to set up a return here. That's the best looking punt from Demo so far. And perfect tackle. So that's where Iowa in the final 4:18 of this game will start from. Their own 28-yard line. Can the sophomore quarterback Ricky Stanzi lead a Hawkeye homecoming comeback? A lot lot of enthusiasm in the stadium and an air of desperation also. Iowa had a 17-3 lead. Northwestern has posted 19 unanswered points. And now the sophomore Ricky Stanzi, was funny, Sean, last time you said, here's his chance to add to Iowa lore. All right, didn't work out. Now with 4:16 to go, it'll be an entirely new chapter in the Iowa Writers saga.
It definitely will, and it'll give him an opportunity to showcase his talent at home in front of the Iowa faithful.
He lofts one out there, complete to Andy Brodell. He has had a monstrous day. The senior, Jarek McManus, on the stop, and they got him out of bounds. Stop the clock, or did they? They start that clock right away, though, on those out-of-bounds plays. It takes just a matter of moments, not like it used to be under the timing rules. You get out of bounds, it stops very briefly, and then right as soon as they spot the ball, you get back to business. Hampton in for the injured Sean Green. Look at Hampton get the first down. That'll stop the clock. That's the kind of effort they got out of Sean Green before he was injured in this quarter. It's an 8-yard pickup and an Iowa first down. Arrington finally on the stop for Northwestern.
And that's an outstanding job of Hampton not giving up on the play. You see, he encounters the initial contact, but he keeps his legs moving. He keeps trying, turning, getting that first down. Not only does he get the first down, but even more important, I think he stops the clock while they reset the chains.
It starts right back up again, though. Little protection this time for Stanzi, and that is incomplete. Trying to get it to Johnson Koulianos. That was to bring up second down and 10, but that does rest the clock at 3:36. Iowa only has one timeout remaining. Iowa off of a tough loss last week at Pittsburgh, 21-20. Northwestern sailed in here 4-0. Picked up on the blitz, hangs it out there. That is Brodell one more time, but a sure tackle by the junior Brendan Smith out of Andover, Mass. And that's a short gain. It's going to set up a big third down, and it's like about 7 yards for Iowa to get here.
The only thing about that throw, it's a good throw, it's an accurate throw, but it's such a long throw that it gives the defense time to react while the ball's in the air.
And Iowa's been very poor on third downs today, 1 out of 6.
And they're going to have to hurry on the play clock. Play clock has 15 seconds as they break to go to the line of scrimmage for this important third down play.
Great time, and that time allows Iowa to get the first down to Johnson Koulianos, and credit the Iowa offensive line for that 16-yard gain.
And a unique decision right there by the defense of Northwestern. They've had a lot of success getting pressure on Stanzi on third and long. This time they decided to play coverage and only rush 3 defenders, and that ultimately was what gave him the time to allow his receivers to uncover down the field.
And that was like a false start on the left side of the Iowa line. That's been kind of a theme today, Sean. Every time Iowa gets something good going, they make a mistake.
5-yard penalty remains, first down.
1st and 15 now. Back to the 46-yard line of Northwestern it goes. Well, there will be no quarterback controversy following this game. Ricky Stanzi has proven the coach's decision right. Certainly looks that way. Johnson Koulianos, big playmaker. And I tell you what, if he breaks that tackle by McManus, he's down the sideline, and right about now he'd be in the end zone.
Definitely, it was an outstanding catch. The ball was a little high, made a great catch with his hands, and DJ K's got to get on that squat machine just a little bit more right now, get a little more stronger in your lower body, and he'll fight through that tackle.
Gain of 12. 2nd and 3. And it's going to be 3rd down and 3. Interesting, I noticed that they leave for blocking purposes, Sean. They've taken the tailback out. They had Brett Morse, the fullback, in there, so he's not really a running threat, but they just basically have him in there for max protection.
And they seem to like the idea of getting Ricky Stanzi out of the pocket a little bit, rolling him, and you bring that fullback in as an extra blocker to help him secure the edge.
3rd down and 3.
As a play caller right now, you want to ensure that you pick up this 1st down. You know, it's 3rd and 3. I think that's more important right here than anything. Even if you have to run the football, is to make sure that you pick up the 1st down.
And the fullback in the flat, but they go to the 20, and the 1st down catch by Brandon Myers, the senior tight end from Prairie City, Iowa. Northwestern is claiming a fumble, but the officials aren't buying it. Neither is Pat Fitzgerald. Now, he may be out to challenge this, but I don't think they ever ruled a fumble. Well, they're going to call this an incomplete pass. Interesting decision there. Now, this may get looked at a little extra. Let's see.
The ruling in the field is an incomplete pass. The previous play is being reviewed.
What do you think, Sean?
I would like to look at the replay one more time. It's sort of a tough call from that viewpoint right there.
And Pat Fitzgerald, look at that. He's got his little card out about what you can and cannot review. I think the first look we have is the best one that showed. I thought it was a catch, too, if that matters.
I definitely thought it was a catch. It'll be... Because if you see, watch when he catches the ball. He catches the ball. He has 1 foot down, 2 feet. He has control of the ball, and now the ball comes out on his way down. It'll be interesting to see, because he was on top of the defender, are they going to rule him as being down by contact?
You've got a football at the 34. You've got a football at the 19. One of those 2 balls will be in play following this review. And tell you what, college football normally whips through this pretty quickly around the country. This one is being given some extra attention, and understandably. It's either going to be 1st and 10 of the 19 or 4th and 3 from the 34.
And kind of what gets lost in all this is how good of a throw that was by a young quarterback. You know, Brandon Myers was covered. He put the ball in a position where only his guy had opportunity to catch it.
Here's the funny thing. I would have called that play a fumble, if anything else.
After review, the play is reversed. We have a catch, followed by the runner was down. We have 1st down.
All right.
And ultimately what they decided was that once he went to the ground, even though he was on top of the defender, they ruled him down by contact.
So that wiped out the fumble. Well, they never ruled a fumble on the field, so that call was out from the beginning. It was either going to be what we had, and there you go. Iowa now over 400 total yards offense with that dramatic 1st down. And here's another one. Johnson Koulianos, 1st down Iowa inside the 10.
And I told you that this game was setting up for the young quarterback, Ricky Stanzi, to have an opportunity to establish himself in the lore of the Iowa faithful. Because of the way the game was going, he's going to get a chance right now to make a play that will endear him to all 70+ thousand Iowa fans that are here in Kinnick Stadium today.
Trouble. Just lobs it out there, and a great effort by the tight end Myers, but doesn't work, and it was nearly a sack. So give Stanzi credit for his escapability that time and avoids getting dumped.
And great play by Corey Wooten, the defensive end from Northwestern. He's the one that disrupted this play, did not allow Stanzi the opportunity to set his feet and make a good throw.
Well, we've always heard people say, well, it gets more difficult to throw the ball when you get closer to the goal line. How much more difficult?
Well, you don't have a lot of space, so the windows are a lot smaller. You have to be a lot more precise with where you throw the football, with where you place that football.
Stanzi under pressure, go for the corner of the end zone. Knocked away, 3rd down and goal. Boy, that was thrown up. Prince Quatang was in there. And so was Brian Peters.
And that was probably an ill-advised throw.
Yeah, I will certainly bow to your better judgment since you played the position at the highest levels. But, yeah, 12th play of the drive is coming up.
But he got away with it. Now he gets opportunity. He has 2 more downs to try and get it corrected.
Third and goal from the 8. for the end zone. Johnson Koulianos lays out. It's 4th down and goal for Iowa. Maben on the coverage. So here you go. Well, Ricky Stanzi, as Shauna suggested, perhaps add to the Iowa football lore, or will this homecoming be looked at as the one that got away? And we have a timeout, and if it's Iowa, they're out of them. 4th down and goal from the Northwestern 8 for Iowa. And Northwestern comes through with the defensive play. They'll be 5-0. Vince Brown, who had an interception earlier, looks like he's the one who got that pass deflected.
And show you how much I know, Northwestern decides to bring the house. They blitzed everybody and said, we're going to play man-to-man coverage. And it worked because they batted the ball down.
Now, they didn't give him a chance that time. And this Kinnick Stadium crowd will start to file out.
It's always more than one way to fix spaghetti.
And that was John Gill who got his hand on it. Brown came in with the initial pressure, then backed off, and it was John Gill who knocked the pass down. Iowa didn't score in the second half, and Northwestern posted 19 unanswered points. This was a 17-3 Iowa game in the second quarter. Northwestern wins despite some problems in the kicking game also. How about Northwestern here, borrowing an unbelievable disaster, going to 5-0, and now, more importantly for them, 1-0 in the Big Ten.
And a lot of momentum going forth. You know, they have a defense that's capable of putting pressure on the opposing backfield. They're going to have to find a way to get a little more stout in their run defenses, but they persevered today. They found a way to win the football game.
And they go into a bye week. They will next play Michigan State in Evanston, while Iowa takes on Michigan State next week. Ara Parseghian was the coach the last time Northwestern had this kind of start. This time it's 33-year-old Pat Fitzgerald, and it's the purple passion that comes through in this game for Northwestern.